All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to call this Destin City Council meeting to order. And up first, we'll do the invocation by Pastor David J. Butler, Faith Assembly Christian Church. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege of gathering together in this meeting tonight. Thank you for our beautiful city, our community, our waterways. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have blessed us with your beautiful creation. We pray that you bless all the citizens and those who visit us. Father, we just ask that your will be done. And now the blessing found in Numbers chapter 6 is this. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine towards you and be gracious to you. May he give you his peace. Amen.
Thank you for that. And Councilwoman Aber with the pledge, please.
Please join me with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you both for that. Getting into it, we have the approval of the agenda. If anyone has any substitutions or modifications.
I'll make a motion to approve as is.
All right, motion, do I hear a second? Second. I have a second. Uh-oh, okay, we got possible discussion.
No discussion. I just don't know my password.
Oh, okay. I thought you had some notes.
He's resetting mine anyway, Chatham.
Okay. All right, got a first motion and a second. Councilman Schmidt, we'll do a verbal roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Bagby?
Y'all can just do a verbal.
Yes.
He said yep.
Yes.
All right, Lacey, you good with that? All right, ayes have it, 7-0, so moved unanimously. All right, with that, we'll get into the proclamation. We have a speaker request from Webley, Mr. Poole. Oh, yes.
I've lived here since 1982. I'm an old-timer. When I came here, Destin was a quaint little fishing village. Not anymore. I went to the Blessing of the Fleet, and on my way to get to 98 to cross it, the walkway dropped down, and I had a bad wreck. It's a shame we don't have a hospital in Destin, but I've gone twice. They x-rayed my head and found nothing. Okay, but I drive my bike a lot, and it's a wonder I didn't have a wreck earlier with the condition of the walkways. All right, I'm go down the list of what you might walk if you see if you walked the walkways. They are cracked, busted, or missing. We got sand on the walkways. We got decapitation wires holding up the poles. Sometimes they have plastic so you can see them. And we have unremoved anchors that was once holding up the wires to, all right. We have rocks, river rocks, granite chips. I don't think we have any slag, but they'll throw you off. All right. We have stormwater drains. The old Golden Corral, they've patched it up many times. They ain't never fixed it. And it's the Mi Gente building, but we got sharp edges of the boxes. Aluminum boxes, I don't know what is in them, but sometimes they squeeze you down. All right, we have rusty nail heads in the wooden poles. a lost cat, they don't drive the nails into the pole. They just leave the rusty nail head sticking out. We have bushes dragging over the pedestrian right-of-way. We have tree limbs. We have construction work. As y'all know, y'all seen them digging and. But you reckon we gonna get an AI center? All the wire they laying down? All right. As you walking along the walkways, you gotta watch out for the 2-cycle dust blowers and the trimmers. I don't know if it's worse, the fumes or the dust. We got lights shining up as like on the Destin City Hall Annex. We have popcorn trees, cherry laurel trees, and China berry trees taking over. All right. US 98 is a serious road. I mean, it's a US 98. And calling it Harbor Lane or a Harbor Boulevard don't really help. You got tankers hauling mostly petroleum as per the 4-digit number. You gotta know what the code is to know what it is. We have bike lanes sprinkled in there, which is very dangerous.
I'm going to give you one more minute, but your 5 minutes is up, so I just want to allow you some time to wrap up here.
All right. We need to slow down growth somewhat. We can't just keep growing, because Bloody 98, Emerald Coast Parkway, Miracle Strip, Harbor Lane, Gulf Breeze Parkway, that's euphemistic. All right, the TDC needs to quit advertising, and the tourists walk on the walkways. And I'm through, unless y'all have any questions.
Yep, please.
Mr. Poole, thank you for being here. The first part of your comments I appreciated, and I would ask, because you do ride your bike a lot around town, I see you often.
I used to ride it.
I know. If you don't mind notating some of these areas that you mentioned and dropping them off with our city staff and getting them to our public works department, because then they would be able to then go do that. And you being out there really helps. So if you could drop those off, that'd be great.
I have a better answer to your question.
That would help.
Get some of the city staff, doge them, and put them inspecting. I mean, I appreciate getting volunteers, but
All right. All right, with that, we'll move into public comments. The only thing I will want to request is if for the 4B, which is going to be the update of the state acquired land, I wanted to create and have those public comments. Anyone who's speaking on that, if we could have that time, I'll give you public comments before we get into 4B, but we wanted to keep that all consolidated for our records. You're more than willing to speak whenever you'd like, but that's just a request that I have. So with that, anyone from the public comment who wishes to speak, please do so.
Please let them know they don't get to speak
Yeah,
twice.
yeah.
My name is Ricky Lynn Grant Jr., 175 Main Street, Destin, Florida, 32541. And I thought about what you said about helping people, and I've been trying to help people because I am a very selfish and greedy person. My grandparents are from New York, and that's how we are in New York. We're greedy people, and I support you if you're greedy. But I've been thinking about what you said, and I do want to help people. And I've been getting into, I know Saturday they had a cleanup day, and I missed it, and I wanted to go because I put 50 cents in the little thing where you feed the fish on the harbor, and I was just exploring, and I found a way to get involved and help people. And they were having a cleanup on May 30th, but I missed it. I wanted to go and help and be involved. So I don't look so greedy, because I am greedy. I'm very greedy. But and also, I was reading about the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, and I want to be a part of that to protect the environment and to clean up the planet. And like they were saying about the streets and stuff, maybe I could help in with public works. You know, I do the artificial intelligent, like, because I'm trying to relax, you know. So I don't like to move if I don't have to. But if I feel called to move, then that's when I move. I hope everything goes well with my my deal. I left beach chairs, so I'm not doing the beach chairs anymore. So I'm now just Ricky Lynn Grant Jr., the sole proprietor. I'm trying to get a job with a wholesale company. So catch me on Indeed. Knowledge is power, so I'm trying to get a hold of the right information. I live out of my gorilla cart, so I have to think about how to live now, like camping and living off the land and backwoods survival guide. I was reading that magazine at Barnes & Noble because I think so much how to buy a house, and I know how to buy a house. I know how to fly around with all my investor friends, but I don't know how to use my Swiss Army knife, you know? Or power drill, or how to live off the land, or how to, you know, pickle cucumbers. So I'm trying to think about practical knowledge on how I can camp better and stay out of the way, you know. I try to navigate past business owners. People know that I live on my gorilla cart. Oh, you can't sleep here. So I try to sleep in very legal ways until I can get home. I'm trying to go back to Nashville. They got hot tubs, jacuzzis, steam rooms at the YMCA. You can take a shower. I take 2 showers in 2025. I haven't taken a shower in 7 years. So maybe I can grow. Thanks.
Appreciate you being here. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm supposed to give my name?
Yes, I was about to
Yeah.
bring that back up. Name and address, sir.
Yeah, my name is Dave Clausen, and I live at 224 Masters Court, Santa Rosa Beach. And as you can probably see from my shirt, I'm the president of the Choctawhatchee Audubon Society, which covers Okaloosa and Walton counties. And I'll be speaking about the drone versus fireworks issue. And I think obviously you can anticipate what I'm going to say. That I'm very much for the birds. And speaking for both our local Audubon chapter and for Audubon, Florida, we are very much against the 4th of July fireworks show in Destin and strongly support a drone show. Historically, I've read old-timer reports that 50 years or more ago, there was extensive use of Noriego Point and Holiday Isle by nesting shorebirds. These birds were driven away by all the subsequent development and human activity in this area. The same thing has happened all along Florida's hundreds of miles of shoreline. The result has been a precipitous decline in the abundance of several species, so they're now considered threatened by Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Threatened is just one step down from endangered. The two threatened species that I'm going to be focusing on here are least terns and black skimmers. In the past decade, some least terns did nest on Holiday Island near the jetty going into the Gulf, but they abandoned this site. However, Destin's new Noriego Park has provided an important new nesting opportunity for least terns and black skimmers. The park has a fenced area in the middle of the point that provides a nesting area for the birds, so they're safe from human interference and predators such as raccoons. Researchers this past year counted at least last week counted at least 111 nesting least terns and 20 nesting black skimmers. This year, Noriego Point has become one of the most important nesting sites for least terns in the Florida Panhandle. Florida shorebirds are very finicky when it comes to nesting. It doesn't take much to drive them off their nests and leave their chicks unprotected. A loose dog, someone walking through the nesting area, or very loud noises. Sometimes the adult birds abandon the nesting site completely. I hope the City Council agrees that Noriego Point can have both a recreational and conservation component. By having a drone show to protect the birds rather than fireworks, Destin would be favoring conservation and setting an important precedent for other seaside communities in Florida to move away from the fireworks during shorebird nesting seasons. It would also have a precedent encouraging Harbor Walk Village to stop having weekly fireworks shows during the summer. I'd also like to note that Destin had a drone show in August 2024 to celebrate its 40th anniversary as a city. I invite anyone in the audience to watch the YouTube recording of this drone show if you did not witness it in person.
Final
People
thoughts.
were oohing and ahhing just like at a fireworks display, and I've heard the show was very well received. In conclusion, to protect the birds on Noriego Point and set an important conservation precedent in Florida, I urge the City Council to support a drone show for this 4th of July.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
Good evening, council members and mayor. I am Misty Pounders. I'm at 21 Comet Street, Fort Walton Beach, but I'm here as a member also of the Choctawhatchee Audubon Society that covers Okaloosa County and Walton County. And I am here to support the replacing of the city's fireworks show with the drone display for this 4th of July and to urge you to make this permanent. The research is clear, and there's going to be some redundancies here. I apologize. Fireworks are generally harmful to the nesting shorebirds that make Destin's coastline so special. After each fireworks explosion, birds panic and fly from their nests, scattering their chicks and exposing them to predators and heat until their parents return. We have black skimmers and least terns that are currently nesting on these beaches right here, right now, during our celebration window. During the 4th of July holiday, many birds may be re-nesting and will have their final opportunity to successfully raise young this season. And a failed nesting attempt isn't just sad, it's a conservation setback that compounds year after year. The harm doesn't end with the noise. So the debris left from the fireworks litters our beaches and near-shore waters and can be easily mistaken for food by sea turtles and other marine animals, with hungry chicks even nibbling on plastic refuse. The good news is that a beautiful crowd-pleasing alternative already exists. Communities across the United States are increasingly replacing and supplementing traditional 4th of July fireworks with drone shows, citing the environmental concerns, noise sensitivity, and lower cleanup cost. Drone shows produce almost no noise, allowing pets and veterans with PTSD to enjoy aerial entertainment. And as an aside, personally, not related to the Audubon Society, I worked with the military treatment facility, both Eglin and Hurlburt, for 8 years and experienced some of the comments from those folks that have PTSD with our fireworks. Also, these drone shows produce less pollution compared to fireworks, which can release smoke and chemicals into the air. And I understand while some drones may fail during normal operations, the overall reduction in their noise and environmental pollution is far less concerning than explosive fireworks. I am a longtime resident, over 30 years, of this area and appreciate the desire to celebrate our country, especially during the 250th of our nation. For me, living here so long has brought wisdom and a deeper appreciation of how we are the stewards and caretakers of our God-given natural resources. Destin is known for its emerald waters and abundant wildlife, and let's celebrate our nation's independence in a way that reflects those values. I urge you to finalize the drone show contract and make this a lasting tradition. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? All right, yep. Oh.
Hello, City Council members and Mayor. My name is Penelope Murnane, and I'm also an Audubon member, and my address is 148 Courtyard Circle, Santa Rosa Beach, but I work in Okaloosa County, and I have been a volunteer shorebird steward for the last 3 years, And I have witnessed how sensitive birds are and how they will fly away when people walk or run through where they are nesting. And I first saw black skimmers for the first time because I thought, wow, what an unusual looking bird. It kind of reminds me of Danny DeVito, short legs and black and white and long beak, and the bottom beak is a little longer. But I wanted to go see them, so I went and volunteered in Pensacola, and I saw the remnants. It was after July 4th. It was like at the end of July, and I saw the remnants of fireworks in the black skimmer roped off nesting area. So remnants of fireworks had landed in their nesting area. And I remember the biologist shared with me that hopefully those young will survive because there was just barely a few more weeks left for them to learn how to fly and migrate. So the birds are trying to nest and create as many fledglings as possible in the short amount of window of time they have between May and August. And any kind of disturbance like fireworks or people walking through will inhibit that from happening. And we have, according to the Coastal Birding Report, let me see if I can find it, Coastal Birding Report, we have, our president, Dave Clausen, said, one of the most important nesting sites in the area, right there at Noriega Point. And there are an estimated 13,000 breeding leased terns in the state of Florida. And there's at least 2,658 right here in the Panhandle. So we are a very important spot for them. So bird watchers, people come. There was a rare bird that was here a few years ago, the gray gull. People were coming from as far away as Maine to take a picture of it. Arizona, Chicago, Atlanta, Orlando, to take a picture of that gray gull because it was the first time it had been spotted in North America. Destin can be a rare ecotourism site in addition to, entertainment. It has a unique opportunity to become an ecotourism mecca for people to come, and they will come. They came for that gray gull. They will come to see the least terns. Thank you very much for your time, and I would appreciate you voting in favor of a drone show. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alan.
For the record, Alan Osborne. I will
Address.
say that all the Holiday Isle people still have the same bird for Mr. Mixon and all them. We're still preserving the ones, and we're making sure that they're leaving the nest as often as we can see them. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I was out there pompano fishing at the Finger Jetty a couple weeks ago, and I looked up and thought somebody was having an emergency. And I don't know what the real name of it, but I call it Boz Beach now because it's always got a skiff over there. Some dude landed a seaplane and taxied into there with a turning rotor system and coasted up there and got out and picked up some passengers and took off in a blue seaplane. And I think it was experimental. So if we've got somebody running tours, pulling up and landing in the East Pass, I was a pilot a long time. I've done a lot of stupid shit. Never that stupid. I mean, come on. I mean, that's dangerous. He was still turning rotors to within 20 feet of coasting into or propellers, excuse me, turning his propellers 20 feet from coming in there. And I thought, all that's going to take is one of those, and we'll be on the front page of everything. So just when you think you don't have to write something in an ordinance, think again, because somebody out there is screaming, hold my beer, or cranking engines. I don't know. The second thing I want to talk about is the Crab Island takeover. That was a disgrace what they did to Bruce's funeral. And I was appalled by the twerking and the driving of jet skis between the funeral procession and all the profanity that was yelled at the boats and the overloaded pontoons. There weren't enough FWC to deal with all that. So I don't know. We need to put out a official bulletin that we don't want the crap here. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. Bruce was one of the first people I ever met when I came here and I was young, at the rodeo. And I just thought it was, it was clearly anybody that had oxygen going to their brain, no matter where they were from, could have looked at that with the preacher up there and flowers and 35, 40 boats, hundreds and hundrds of people. And they're playing, hymnal music and talking psalms and verses, pulling out. And we had people stopping making TikToks in the middle of our dang funeral. I was appalled. Anyway, that's what, so just, I don't know. They're planning another one for Father's Day. And I wanted to have the great poop out. And just nobody pumped their holding tanks till that day and then cruise Crab Island, but that's illegal. But what's not illegal is chumming for sharks. So if we save all the carcasses for 2 weeks, and then when on the incoming tide, remember when the hammerheads got out there and cleaned out all that naturally? And we use natural selection. So if we sponsor a fishing tournament as part of the sub rodeo, and we go up there on the ingoing tide, and we got plenty of sharks, we can chum them up. And all that crap will stop.
Thank you,
We
sir.
put out a notice, okay? Just ideas, throwing it out there, how to stop it, They won't argue with the sharks. They won't be rude to them. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Name and address, and the floor is yours.
Hey, council members, Mayor Danny Davis, 619 Calhoun Avenue, Destin, Florida. All right, I'm not for the drone show, but I'm not opposed to one. But I don't know where the Audubon Society was when y'all decided to pass a permit for that building. If it's not there, where was the birds at that point? Anybody got a answer to, well, we'll sign a permit to have this building built. Where was Audubon when the condo was going to be built? So, in the whole safety point of a drone versus a firework, when the drone hits the water, I'm pretty sure drone's plastic. I've crashed several of them. And they go down into our ecosystem. How long does it take for that drone to biodegrade? Or the lithium battery that carries in it? What is it doing to our atmosphere or to our ecosystem? And if one of those drones happens to land in the bird sanctuary, what happens then? That's another problem. Last I know, fireworks are, they're shell casing in paper. I don't know how many birds in that shell I've looked at, but there's paper in their nest. Don't know if it's those type of birds. The next thing is, if you block off an area people can't walk through, that they've been walking through for, I've been in Destin since '89. Yeah, you block it off, things are gonna cohabitate there. Birds, snakes, rats, things like that. So, I think we figure out the 4th of July firework deal, and maybe we work in a drone if we can figure out, what a drone's made out of, what's their safety rating, and things of that nature. I'm an area captain. Saturday was a catastrophe. If that's how Destin wants to go down in national news and affect every single Dewey and all the rest of us that own businesses here, that's what we want to see on national news? You want to let that money keep going to 30A? Because it's going there. It's been going there. We got to get a handle on this. The Sheriff's Department, National Seashore, they should have been out there, number one, to protect it. So it is a federal piece of property. So I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you for being here, sir. All right, ma'am. Just hit that gray button on the base there of the speaker. Yep, there you go. Name and address.
Okay, my name is Holly Labar. I live at 212 Harbor Boulevard in Destin. My husband and I run the Big John Charter Boat and the Harbor Girl here in town. And I'm here to talk about the fireworks on the 4th of July. Everyone is coming to Destin for fireworks for the 4th of July. We've already been having them weekly. I've watched Noriega Point get rebuilt. I walk over there regularly myself. What they did over there and the birds came back, I don't think a couple of fireworks shows once a week is going to affect their relocation because they came after we did all that work out there. We also have airplanes that go over all the time that are extremely loud, and we're never going to change that. So if people have PTSD from fireworks, what are we going to do about our military bases around here? We're not going to have the planes stop flying, are we? Anyway, I think we need a fireworks show, and I think we should go all out with a fireworks show, the biggest, best one we ever had, and maybe a bonfire, and maybe some cannons somewhere, not just the pirate ship.
You're talking.
Possibly like somebody that comes and sings while that fireworks show's going on. You could play it, coordinate some music to it, like I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy type of thing, you know, back in the day. Just some suggestions.
Thank you for
That's
being
all
here.
I have to say.
All right.
Good evening. Joe Fitzpatrick, 3879 Indian Trail. Here tonight for the ninth time discussing the drainage issue affecting my parcel. We are halfway through a study, 4 weeks in. And at the last meeting, I walked through a pretty good deep dive of the system, the infrastructure, the outfalls, the piping, the nodes, and all the records behind them. Rather than spend that time tonight to talk about that issue, I thought it might be informative to see what's actually happening on the property during a rain event, and something you don't see if you go out there on a sunny day. You know, it's the reality. So this is a quick reference map talked about last week. I do want to go ahead and just take a picture. We talked about the records. I want to walk through some pics of videos of the infrastructure in action. So this is two of the drainage that are contributing to the corridor coming out of Indian Woods. Once you're out of Indian Woods, you basically come down to Indian Trail, and you have an inlet that is directed to the corridor. Rainy day, sunny day. All that water is directed down from what we just saw and discharged to the corridor. Rainy day, sunny day. Let's head over to Indian Trail Estates. Multiple pipes, drains, roadway grading, all to a central outlet routed to the corridor. Let's take that outlet, let's put it to the conveyance ditch, route it down to the corridor. Let's take all of that upstream conveyance and let's put it to two 24-inch culverts on the south side of Indian Trail. Let's take all that upstream, let's take it to the north side of Indian Trail, take it high velocity direct to private property. And then let's look at the impacted corridor, my private property. Now let's take it to the final outfall to the bay. Node 168, peak of 18,000 gallons per minute per the city's own documentation. So that's a lot in 3 minutes. I hope it's useful context as you walk through the study. Continues. I'll be honest, haven't seen anybody out on the property so far. No questions, no real communication. You know, these meetings seem to be my one chance to sort of share information and get updates. So I appreciate an update this evening, progress to date, what's left to do, and make sure that we're still on track. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Andrea Ansley, 624 Coates Drive, Destin. I am a member of the Parks and Rec Committee and I'm here today on behalf of our committee regarding the fireworks. At our meeting on May 26th, we made a motion for the council to move forward with the fireworks as planned for the 4th of July and supplement with a drone show. So I just wanted to relate that that was our recommendation.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you say proceed with the fireworks as planned?
Yes, well, as previously planned. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then to supplement with the drone show. One of the concerns that our committee did have was at the previous drone show, Noriega Point was, I guess, blocked off. And so one of our concerns was whether or not that would take place with the drone show for the 4th of July, which would be a big issue for the tourists, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Anyone else? Yep.
Good evening. My name is Alan Myers, 150 Bent Arrow Drive. I am the executive director over at the Village of Baytown Wharf. I contract with both companies that have provided a proposal for drones and fireworks. Both are professional, both are punctual, both will do a good job, both bring a lot of people. But if you are celebrating the nation's 250th anniversary, it's fireworks for me. I watch it every week, and I can tell you if you want something anticlimactic, not saying it's a bad show, the drones are awesome, but it is more of a symphony where the fireworks are more rock and roll. In addition to that, if you don't give the community an outlet to watch a professional fireworks show, they will go to Walmart, they will go to Billy Bob's in Alabama, and they will buy a truckload of fireworks and they will shoot them all night long. So when you talk about PTSD running till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, that's all you will hear. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Anyone else? All right, we'll close public comments and we'll get into the consent agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your input.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on consent? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Wake up the computers. Oh, I don't know. All right, ayes have it 8-0. I don't know why I was able to vote on that, but strike my yes from the record. All right, so consent's pushed. Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Item 4A is regarding fireworks/drone show or drone show/fireworks. As you recall at the last meeting, we were asked to bring you back a proposed contract regarding a drone show in lieu of fireworks. So we have that before you tonight. Mr. Braden had asked that the fireworks be put under his name for perhaps a reconsideration, so we wanted to address both of these at the same time so that we could get to where council would like to be. So we've engaged with the local drone show producer, and he's given us two options. One is a standalone drone show would cost $50,000, or if we combine a drone show, which would be a very similar show that we would get for $50,000, he would do that for $20,000, but would provide $10,000 in sponsorship, so it would only be $10,000 of cash out from the city. Again, the fireworks would be a $39,000 contract with a $9,000 expenditure for an incidental take permit for a total of $38,000. So roughly, you can get a drone show standalone for $50,000, the drone show and the fireworks together for $58,000. And I believe we have funds available to do either one that you would so desire. So those three options are there for your consideration.
Thank you, Doctor. Councilman Bagby.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve option number 3 with the caveat that the Destin Parks Foundation come up with the $10,000 for the drone show. And just like I did for the dog park, Miss Jenny and I will donate, I was going to say the first $100, but I didn't leave the house with $100, so I brought 50 for you, Andrea, and we'll donate the first $50 for the drone show.
Point of order, Mayor, we need a motion to reconsider.
Oh, we do.
How
because
so?
Y'all killed it.
No, hold up,
I can't make that motion.
Jim, hold up.
Someone-
How so, please explain?
I'm sorry.
Reconsider?
Yeah, you need, we made a decision on this issue at the last meeting under Robert's rules. We need a motion to reconsider. Otherwise, we've made the decision twice and the staff won't know which decision to actually go forward with. So we need a motion to reconsider.
I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, from my understanding, the motion was to bring back a contract, which they've done, so they've,
That's not my understanding.
that's
So-
what the motion read through the motion in the minutes.
I've got it right here and be glad to read it.
Yeah, if you can read that, please.
Councilmember Schmidt made a motion, seconded by Councilmember Trammell, to initiate a contract for council's consideration for a drone show in lieu of a fireworks show for the 4th of July celebration. Motion passed 4-3 with Councilmembers Hebert, Schmidt, Braden, and Trammell voting yes, and Councilmembers Destin, Bagby, and Morgan voting no.
Yeah, I
And
guess read the consideration as the
key
key.
word there is in lieu of.
No, the key word is consideration.
Mayor, Robert's rules are quite clear on this, and we follow them. Or
I mean, I'm okay either way, 'cause I mean, I like
There
where
you
this is
go.
going. I'm
I
just,
think the best thing to do would clean the record and just someone can make a motion to reconsider. Would anyone
so
like to
someone
make
from the
that motion?
prevailing-
Make the motion to reconsider.
per Robert's rules, it's got to be from the prevailing party.
Right, and I wasn't.
Councilman Braden, would you like to do the honors of pulling back? Oh,
Yes, she was. She
you're on the prevail, oh, I'm sorry.
The second can be on the
All right, if we think we need to pull this back, all right. So I have a motion and second to claw back the motion that we've just completed. Any further discussion? Yeah. All right, Captain, I'm so sorry. I'm going to apologize. Councilwoman Honorable Morgan. It's your Chatham. I keep reading Chatham as. Yeah, all right. I have a motion and second. Considerations, we'll pass the vote, call the vote for reconsideration. Consideration.
Well, there is no three.
Yeah. All right, with that motion stricken off, even though I don't believe we needed it, but I appreciate the redundance.
It worked out well, though.
With that, I'll re-accept Councilman Bagby's motion.
Mayor, I'll make, and just for clarity, I will make the motion that we have the fireworks, and the drone show, and pay for the permit, which is all three of the things the staff presented to us, with the caveat that the Destin Parks Foundation provide the $10,000 for the drone show.
All right, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. Honorable Chatham Morgan.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just mention, I know the Parks Foundation's currently raising money for the schoolhouse replica at Calhoun Park. So I would like to see it contingent before you enter a contract with the drone company that the Parks Foundation votes to approve that money first. Because my understanding was it was going to be sort of a pass-through organization, and some of the donors were lined up, but I would hate for us to commit to the drone show and then fail to vote with the foundation.
All right, Councilman Destin.
Just a couple of questions. Just a couple of questions. Our company that we're talking to, there was more than one company we talked to about drone?
I know the mayor had talked to a couple
A national one reached out to us
national
as
and-
well, and his proposal seemed very copy and paste. It was like 60K. A lot of them, I guess, right now for 4th of July are 60 to 80 for the 200, since it's their biggest day of the year other than New Year's. Most of them kind of are 20 to 35. So I believe I passed that along, but I don't think it made it into it just because it was so absorbent, and they were not having any deals with us.
Ms. Kopp, state law requires us to bid on certain things or to have committees consider these choices when we're passing out the public's money. Are we running afoul of any problems with bids or making decisions unilaterally?
It will depend on the cost of the contract.
And that's
At
what I'm asking.
60,000 it would, but not under 30, it's 35, correct, Crystal?
between $5,000 and $35,000, we require 3 written quotes.
If it's under, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. under-
Between 5,000 and 35,000, we require 3 written quotes, and then over 35,000, we would start the procurement, typical RFP or RFQ process.
Okay, so if it's 10,000, then we're all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the other question I have is on the permit that we're going to buy for 9,000. I finally read through the details of that application. This firing of the fireworks appears to take place completely out of the city limits over on federal property. How do we pay for a permit for activity that's not taking place in our city limits at all? And I make the point because I think we would spend our money more wisely to actually hire whoever's going to do the monitoring to monitor the nesting area at Noriega Point. Because if you look at the permit application, they're monitoring over there. And it says for a 300 square area, 300 feet square area around over on the federal property, which has no impact at all or no connection to our concerns about Noriega Point.
I think we have had the fireworks from different locations over the years, and certainly when they're on federal property, I don't believe we would need the permit, but we have had them in other locations. Lisa, do you want to explain that one?
Well, just to clarify, I looked at the permit itself, and it specifically says it's being fired over there.
It is, it is.
Okay.
They have always, well, they have been fired over there for years and years and years. With Eglin, Eglin's Jackson Guard, their Fish and Wildlife has always taken care of that for us. But the federal Fish and Wildlife came in about 4 years ago and said we needed this extra protection.
And so the federal government is requiring us to get this permit?
That is correct.
And they turned it over to Fish and Wildlife to adjudicate or to collect?
I'm sorry, they what?
It appears it's a Fish and Wildlife permit.
Yes, it goes to Fish and Wildlife, correct. It's a permit with Fish and Wildlife.
I'm a little confused on what we're doing, and it sounds like they are too. The point I would make is I'd rather spend 9,000 or 5,000 or whatever it takes to monitor what's going on at Noriega Point, which is within our city limits and which is the area we're trying to protect, rather than spend the money to monitor and protect an area over on the federal property. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for the city of Destin to do that when Noriega Point is what we're worried about. And these fireworks are not being fired from Noriega Point. In fact, are being fired from probably 1,000 feet away on federal property. So I have some deep questions about that. I'd rather spend money on the nesting ground they're talking about, because they're right. When I was young, that place was covered with skimmers. It's not now. I'd like to see it go back to having them, but spending $9,000 to monitor property that's not even in the corporate limits seems like a fool's errand to me.
I'll get with Lisa about that and look into what's going on with the federal, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, we will not pay for it if we do not need to. We will review.
And the next meeting, we have a report so that we can redirect our funds to protect Noriega Point rather than under it's outside the city limits and the federal property.
Do we have a report?
We can, certainly.
Oh,
yes, sir.
of course, at
Sure.
the next council meeting. Yes, sir.
All right, Councilman Braden.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm fine with the fireworks and a drone show. I don't know if we have the drone show first and then the fireworks. It needs to be heavily advertised that we're having fireworks.
Our local guy, he's the only one I've been in contact with that does Sandestin. When we brought this up, or when you guys brought that up from the foundation, in my head, it was always American flag, drones, fireworks behind, Happy 250, fireworks going on behind. And he said that, you know, as long as we map out the radius, especially if we're shooting off over there in the pass, the drones would be much closer to the harbor. There's no reason why you couldn't delegate the airspace.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, a couple of things. On the permit, I think that where the impacts are is where you have to have the monitoring, but I don't disagree that we need to monitor particularly based on our ongoing conversation with the county. I'll try to be nice here. And y'all are right about birding. One of the things people don't realize is that birders spend a lot of money. And I agree, but like y'all said, we had record numbers last year or this year, and last year we had fireworks, 4th of July, fireworks every Thursday. So it's kind of not in concert, those observations, because we've been doing fireworks for a while. My thing, as I said at the last meeting, this is 250th birthday of the nation. You know, I wouldn't have voted to have fireworks last time, except this year we need to do fireworks and we need to celebrate. And so that's why I'm making the motion. But I agree, birders travel and they spend a lot of money, and all those people that are railing against the current types of tourists that we have, those are actually the types of tourists we want, because they're very low impact and they spend out the wazoo and they go out to eat and they do a lot of other things.
All right, Councilwoman Trammell?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify as far as the motion goes. In the past, we have agreed, the Destin Parks Foundation has agreed to be the holder of those donations that Lisa is getting. We are not donating $10,000. We will donate up to whatever Lisa can get in it, because it's a tax write-off for the person making the donation. And so we're just the holder of the money. So I want to make sure that that's understood and clearly identified in our motion, that we will not be committing $10,000, because it may be 12 or maybe 8. I don't know what it's going to be. So we'll see. So, but I mean, I want all of it, but your $50 is not going to get us to 10,000. So you're going to have to ante up a little bit more than that.
It'll be 100 once I get home and ask my wife for the other 50.
I want 100 for the fireworks.
Hey, it is 50 a drone. For 200 drones at 1,000, it's 50 a drone.
Yeah.
All right, we're chipping in a pixel.
Yeah. I bought a drone. I rented it.
Yeah. All right, Councilman Schmidt.
Thank you. Just for clarification, one, I want to make sure we're not saying that the Parks Foundation has to raise the $10,000? It sounds like that. Because if they don't, then what happens based on your motion? We just don't do the drone show?
I guess.
And thank you for raising that issue, because from a contractual standpoint, you know, if we wait till the next council meeting, we're only less than 3 weeks out from 4th of July, and I don't know whether the drone show would even be available still at that point.
So one thing to consider in your motion, and then two, do we need to also, besides just saying option 3, don't we have to pass the resolution for the fireworks, or is that just not required?
We would need to extend that agreement for this year.
So we would need to actually approve the resolution.
Well, it's
was
just a contract,
presented
it's
at the last
just
meeting.
an extension. The contract's in place, and it has annual extensions that you take action to execute that
So
extension.
the actual agenda item at the May 16th, 18th meeting was to approve a resolution and to initiate a contract with Pyro.
I'd have to go back and look.
So I just want to make sure if you want to do it the right way, I want to.
If a resolution is appropriate, then certainly, but.
I don't know. That's what the agenda item was.
Okay, the contract's in place for Pyro, and it
Well,
had.
if we don't need it, then why the heck was it on the May 18th agenda to approve resolution 2608?
Mayor, may I answer his question?
Just consider that for all the motion makers.
Can I answer your question for you? Sure. The resolution was the general resolution between the Parks Foundation and the City of Destin that we would work cooperatively on projects like this in now and in the future. And that resolution was passed. So that resolution is basically
Yeah, unfortunately,
part of
I
it.
think you're not, no disrespect, but resolution 2608 was specifically to execute a contract with Pyro Shows, Inc. Nothing to do with the Parks Foundation, so I just want to make sure we're keeping that
Okay.
in mind. Nothing to do with the Parks Foundation.
All right, thank you. But we did both of them at the same time, so that's,
Separate things.
All right, anything further? All right, Councilwoman Aber?
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that, everyone that's listening and everyone that's here, the bottom line is we're going to have fireworks. And if we get the money raised, we'll have the drone show on the side as the fireworks are going off. But it is the 250th, and it does mean a lot. And with their fireworks being twice a week in the harbor, why would we cancel the 4th of July? We were just trying to add on a drone show and bring that back. So for clarification, our goal is to have a huge, beautiful 250th fireworks show. And if we get the 10,000, we'll add in the drones. Right? Okay.
Councilmember Honorable Morgan?
Thank you, Mayor. We're getting better. So Lisa, on the take permit for FWC, the parcel number, it lists it as the authorized location within Destin, Okaloosa County, Florida, but the parcel number is the NCO club or the federal property. So it's not actually in Destin, so I do kind of understand where Dewey's coming from with it, but we've paid it 3 years in a row now?
This will be the 4th year.
Is there anyone from FWC you can reach out to? And I know we've got a public records request, but I would be curious if all parties shooting fireworks within the bird nesting sites are paying take permits as well, and if they aren't, why not?
We've had that conversation, and to date, they have not.
Okay.
But they've been put on notice that they need to make sure that if it's required, they do participate just like the city does in acquiring those permits.
Got it.
Did I convey that right, Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you for that. Councilman Destin?
Just some clarification, because I don't want us to get in trouble. We can't tell the Park Foundation to do things through motion. That would strip away or cause their tax exempt status to be questioned. So I would suggest we would take that out of any motion. And the other thing I wanted to ask is the show, the drone show, before, after, in the middle, every 20 minutes, there's no clarification on what we're doing?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay, I'm confused about the drone show. Is it going to be at the beginning, at the end, in the middle? We don't know.
The goal
I'm
was,
not
it's
sure how-
a 13-minute show.
Yeah, that's one at a time, guys.
But would they be simultaneous? Is that what you were saying, Mayor?
He said he was
That's what they've
flexible,
done
so
before.
it was up to us. He just
So
wanted
we can do
to,
it either way.
yep. He's
know-
open to our direction.
I know there was some in comments that if we did it post fireworks, there'd be smoke, and it may inhibit the ability to see some of the drones. I don't know.
So it
whether
would
they
be at
fight-
the beginning? I mean, I'm beginning to get a little concerned about how this is being negotiated and what we're getting and what we're voting to do. If it's at the beginning, we avoid the smoke, probably a good idea, but generally, I need to know what I'm voting to approve, and it sounds like we don't really know.
You're voting for what should be a $30,000 production that I begged and pleaded, and he's luckily a local dude and helped out with the Coast Guard for 16 years and felt very patriotic and wanted to get involved. So we weaseled him all the way down to 10, and he's giving us a full 13-minute show, and he wants to be as flexible as possible.
That's very, very good reasons to do it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I still need to know what we're doing, and we're going to be told later. Is that the way this is going to work? Maybe at the next meeting?
I think
Yeah.
we can tell him how we want it to play.
Yeah, I think he
If
was
we
just looking
want
for
it
the yay or nay today
Post
before.
fireworks,
Okay,
we can
so
certainly,
You'll bring a report back at the next meeting, which is really all we have left?
He just needed to know yes, and then they'll talk.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I needed to know, so we would at least know what we're doing.
Yep.
yes, sir.
Sounds like we'll do that with the bird murder permit. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, so I will change my motion to approve option 2, which is the fireworks and the permit. Direct staff to apply for the permit, and it's already budgeted, and to extend the contract 1 year, which is how we're going to get the fireworks show. And then I will have another motion after we vote on this motion to direct the staff to bring back the plan, invite the foundation, and invite the drone guy so that we can hash all this, so everybody understands. Because I agree, we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, and it's 5 weeks from today, okay, it's July 4th. So or 5 weeks minus a day, whatever. So I will just limit my initial motion to approving the extension of the contract for the fireworks for 1 year and the payment of the take permit.
All right.
Council, just so you know, the permit had to be put in April. So that is ongoing. It's on hold right now until you all make a decision.
That's what I'm trying to do, is make a decision.
Right. So I just want you to know that permit is ongoing right now.
Yep. And the FAA has approved his flight pattern for the drones if we choose to move forward. If we, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If everything's in place, you guys are getting a little worried, so I'm just reassuring there has been logistical effort on the back end.
And the only caveat I would ask is that we get some clarification on the permit, because if we're going to spend $9,000, I'd like to do it protecting Noriega rather than the area over by the NCO Club. That's not our property. It's not in the city limits.
All right, Councilman Schmidt?
I just want to make sure everybody saw the proposal from the drone show company, because they're all confused on what he's going to provide. It is in the agenda, right? This is what he's going to provide?
Yep.
Well, y'all were asking, you're confused on what the drone show will be. And there's a agenda item that it spells out what he's going to provide.
It's a 13-minute show, right?
Right, 12 minutes in length, patriotic animations, custom sky imagery, celebrating 50th birthday, designs of American flag. I mean, are you wanting to get into the micro details of exactly how somebody's going to do their job, like how they're going to turn it on, turn it off, and things like that?
No, but I agree with Mr. Destin. You're going to do it before or after the fireworks. You're going to do it to the
Right.
side of the fireworks.
Do we know what time they're gonna shoot
You're
the
going to be
fireworks
blocked by the smoke, because
Okay.
the fireworks
Just-
do
it's
create a
in
lot
there
of
though,
smoke.
Jim. Like, it's in there.
It's not to that deal of specificity, and I think Mr. Destin is correct. I'd like to know those details.
All right, well, Councilwoman Trammell?
I was just going to say, I liked your idea of doing simultaneous, having the flag and the, whatever you're going to do up there while the fireworks are going off. And if the drones are here, then the fireworks can be up there, and they shouldn't interfere with each other. I think that would be a wonderful, spectacular thing to do. So
Do
do
we
we need
wanna-
to vote on that tonight?
Yeah.
In a minute, we'll deal with the fireworks.
All right.
That's why it's
Okay.
separated.
All right, so no further discussion. We'll call the vote. Yeah. And then, Jim, what was B again? I apologize. Just the fireworks?
This is just on the fireworks and the permit, pay for the permit.
All right, so do we want to make a separate motion
I
to
do
have
want to
the
make a separate
drone?
motion, direct staff to bring back to us at the very next meeting the integration plan between the fireworks and the drone show, and invite the foundation to brief if they are going to be part of that. I want to know the funding scheme, city manager. I don't care if the foundation's paying or you want us to take it out of council contingency, but I want to know how we're going to pay that $10,000.
Crystal, what did you have planned? I'm assuming you never come here without a plan?
Yeah, no, there were some savings from the Christmas decorating this year, and so we were going to use the savings towards the additional $10,000 cost of drones, in
So-
case the park foundation was not able to come up with the funds.
All right, thank you. All right, and then it kind of seems like we have a majority for doing the drones in line with the fireworks. So with that, is that what we want to go towards? So would they have some guidance, or would you like them to bring back a different proposal that's not in the agenda?
That's fine, but I think the drone show lasts 13 minutes, and I think the fireworks are like 18 or 20 minutes. So, I'm just trying to figure out, I'd just kind of like to know the concept
Yep.
of the integration. So that's why I will bring back the concept of integration and the recommended payment methodology. And if the foundation can step up, I'm going to pull back my $50 until y'all figure it out.
Well, and with that symbolic pulling back of the $50, should we start advertising and trying to get donations now? Or do we want to wait another 2 weeks and get closer to the 4th? All right, all right. Any further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get booked. All right, ayes have it 6-1, so moved. All right,
Item 4B is the update on the state park property, and Ms. Kopp will lead us in that.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Council, this item is regarding the state-acquired park property in Holiday Isle, City of Destin. And please bear with me because this item is going to take a few minutes to go through the latest. On May 19th, members of the City Council, the mayor, city manager, myself, and residents attended the Okaloosa County Board of County Commissioners meeting. The mayor formally requested the county support protection of the shorebirds in and around Noriego Point and the state property, but the county took no action on that request. Instead, near the very conclusion of the meeting, during his commissioner reports, Commissioner Palmer stated that he had submitted a request for a legal opinion regarding the park to the state's attorney general, who of course is a member of the cabinet that approved this land purchase. Notwithstanding the BCC's prior motion that the city and county approach the state together, no input was solicited from the city at all, and the city was not informed until after the request was mailed to the attorney general. In fact, the city had to do a public records request to even get a copy of the correspondence, and frankly, shame on the county for that. The county's decision to proceed without consulting the city is inconsistent with the collaborative approach it has publicly advocated. The city has repeatedly been placed in the position of learning about significant developments after the fact rather than through direct communication from what should have been its governmental partner. This pattern of conduct raises serious concerns regarding transparency and good faith collaboration. But what is most concerning is that each discussion involving this property seems to begin with the assumption that our established legal requirements are obstacles to be overcome rather than laws to be followed. And case in point, the AGO request is phrased such that the county assumes management responsibility for the park, questions the city's land use and permitting authorities at the park, questions to what extent the city would have any oversight at all if the county manages the property, and inquires as to whether the Holiday Isle Improvement Association's covenants and restrictions apply at the property. But, Council, there is not a lack of legal guidance as to these questions. The problem is not that we do not have an answer. The problem is that some parties do not like the answer they have already received. This property is located entirely within the city, and under Florida law, the city is required to adopt a comprehensive plan, and that plan is adopted through extensive public participation and reviewed and approved by the state. That plan, along with the city's land development code, governs what can and cannot occur on this property per state law. And absent an express statutory exemption or preemption, local land use regulations apply, even to state-owned property. The law does not become optional simply because a proposed use is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. Additionally, the county already asked the Department of Environmental Protection to disregard city zoning and permitting, and DEP said no. Once again, the question was posed by a representative of the county without the city's prior knowledge and was only discovered by the city due to a public records request made by a county resident that was shared with the city. DEP has already informed the county in writing that city zoning and permitting applies. This request by Commissioner Palmer for an Attorney General opinion left out this vital information and looks less like a search for legal clarity and a lot more like a forum shop for a different answer. If this was truly an attempt to prepare for a future meeting between the city, state, and county, as the county now claims, then the city would have been involved with the county in the preparations. The city's position remains straightforward. The city is interested in leasing and managing the park consistently with the city-owned adjacent 14 acres of conservation land. Even if the county obtains the lease for the state's 4 acres, the city is not attempting to prevent lawful use of the property. The city is insisting that any proposed use comply with applicable law, including the city's state-required comp plan and land use regulations. The city is happy to work with the state, and if the county obtains a legal interest, then with the county as well, to that end. Council, we also have a second issue to review. I've learned that a resident of the county obtained, again via a public records request, an email from the county attorney to county management and Commissioner Mixon regarding the deed restrictions applicable to the Noriego Park property. The email is dated December 12th, 2025, 2 days after the closing on the state property. In that email, the county attorney outlined the conditions governing the property from when the county deeded it to the city in 2010 and advised that any violations of those conditions could result in the property reverting to the county. At the request of a council member, I am going to read these restrictions into the record. 1, the use of the property is solely and exclusively for public park and recreational purposes. 2, any sale or lease of any interest in the property to a non-governmental person or organization is prohibited. 3, the operation of any concession on the property by a non-governmental person or organization is prohibited. 4, any sales contract or option to buy or sell things attached to the property to be severed from the property with a non-governmental person or organization is prohibited. 5, a management contract, except contracts for maintenance of the property, is prohibited. And finally, 6, the harbor side shoreline of this property shall remain accessible for the use and enjoyment of boaters unless the city's coastal engineers determine armoring is necessary to protect the side of the property. It is clear that the city has faithfully complied with the deed restrictions, but council, the timing and substance of these county communications speak for themselves, and the council may draw whatever conclusions it deems appropriate regarding the county's objectives in pursuing this matter. The city has spent the past 16 years since 2010 insisting that the property remain devoted to park purposes, and if the county now wants to even question what it would take to attempt to take the city's property away so that the county may do what it prohibited the city from doing, that would be not merely ironic, it would turn the original purpose of the deed on its head. And one last point I want to bring up, and that is that it has been stated by various county representatives that this park is not a priority for the county the way it is for the city. However, the actions taken in pursuing this matter suggest a level of engagement and effort that is difficult to reconcile with that characterization. The extent of the county's desire to circumvent city authorities appears atypical and merits additional transparency regarding its underlying rationale. Thank you, Council, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for that. Councilman Braden.
Thank you. I mean, we all know that Drew Palmer does not work for the citizens of Destin that elected him for that seat. Like it was said earlier, we don't know what payroll he's on, but he's on somebody's. I mean, I would make the motion tonight to start the investigation into maybe the county and the state for the purchase of this property, what they spent on it. But I feel like I wouldn't have the support, maybe one or two. But it desperately needs to be done. I mean, we know who's bought and paid for. Channel 3 is one of them. They won't cover it. They won't say anything about it. So it's been all over social media. You know, we've talked about it. We've had standing room only meetings with the county, you know, the one or two workshops, or maybe the one workshop. Nobody wants report on it. So anyway, I just hope that, you know, maybe one day, and like we all know, this is going to court. Whether you want to or not, or want to admit it or like it, it's going to court. Because we tried to work with the county. Seemed like we was getting that way, you know, we was working together, making some progress, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, the crook Drew Palmer showed his real colors again, and it went back the other direction. So I guess we'll just sit around and wait till that day comes where we take our $2 million out of our parking fund and start buying attorneys.
Yep. Councilman Bagby?
I believe we owe the public an opportunity to do public comment. We told them at the beginning, I would defer until after public comment.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to make sure she got her novel on the record. If
Well, I appreciate it,
Yeah, it
Mayor.
was a good
Thank you.
novel. It was more like a timeline. So, yeah, as I requested earlier, if anyone from the public wishes to speak on this topic specifically, this would be your time to do so. We'd open up the floor. All right.
Don't start my time yet, I want to talk about this. Just so you know, if you ever want to know, I can give you anybody in this staff or any of you a class about any of the airspace, any of the explosive requirements, what permits you got to have. If somebody transported those over to Eglin, they've got an explosive transportation permit, even if you don't require one. That's the law. So there's a set of rules of what you can shoot where, and it all starts about the West Getty and Shoreline, and there's a whole, everything out here. It's the reason they can shut down your pass if they have a range. They own it. Don't think they can't. They just try to stay out of your way because we're being good neighbors.
For clarification, you're talking about?
All those explosive rules and
Okay.
that, anybody ever want any questions of what you gotta have, where you gotta fly, what you gotta report, what goes in the water, what the FWC does. Unfortunately, I know all that crap. So I'm gonna get back to this. Okay, please start my time. This is ridiculous. It really is. I hope y'all watch my show, and that's where we're at. And it's an election year, and people are doubling down. Now, Don Getz, please listen to me. You and Paul Maney, buck up, and if the Attorney General don't want to investigate it, then tell us. Tell us the people. Y'all find out why they don't want to. You got two women over there, two councilmen over there, they're fed up with the treasonous trio over there that's doubling down on us. Okay? You know, they couldn't have a meeting after session, but they all showed up here to gab and endorse somebody for an election. You think about that. They couldn't show up for what was important. We had to delay, and now there's a backup plan to buy a marina possibly in a place that anybody that lived here during Opal knows is going to rip that thing out like toothpicks. And that's just a subsidized place to put the business that now that they promised can't be over here, it's going to go over there and then drive here. Okay? We have to take a stand against corruption. We do. Because the appearance of this is a loss of, as Jim said, it's a loss of trust. In the military, when a commander loses people's trust, whether he's wrong or not, just the loss of trust is such a tragic event that the person in charge, and sometimes the senior enlisted person, must be removed just to establish for the good of order. And what's happened here is a loss for the good of order. For the good of order, we have a comp plan. For the good of order, we have a city rule. And for the good of order, by the right of election, we became a city at one point before I even lived here. And now you have people who would seek to derail the good of order at the local level. And what you're seeing is where you don't matter. You too. You pay taxes just like me. You don't matter as much as that damn political PAC. You don't. You think you do, you watch. They just showed you don't. So if we are a conservative city, if we are a city that cares about ourselves, we will demand that those elected, and I know you voted one time, but you now have different information. You now have people. Dang it, if we can investigate the spraying by a helicopter, we can investigate 84 million. Dewey, you don't have to worry if they're coming after you for an investigation on 10 grand. All y'all. That's not going to happen. We can't get an investigation on $5 million for a parking lot we didn't own. So if y'all break procedure, ain't nobody going to Katie bar the door. Look at them. No, look at you. So buck up on them. Drew, I hope you're listening. I'm coming, you and Paul and Trey. I'll see y'all.
All right, anyone else?
Penelope Murnane, 148 Courtyard Circle. I lived in Destin in the 70s. I went to Destin Elementary, and I also went to Oakland Heights Elementary, but we moved to Destin. My dad was in the Air Force, stationed at Eglin Air Force Base, and he was a pilot in the Vietnam War. Until tragically in 1981, after vacationing here in Destin, we were traveling back to New Jersey, where he worked for the FAA. We were hit by a drunken driver on April 19th, 1981, Easter Sunday. And so the reason why I'm back here, I went to live in Indiana, is because they bought property here. And my husband and I hope to build on it someday. And so we came back. My husband's retired, and I'm very active with Mothers Against Drunk Driving and Audubon. And I would just like to say, I wrote a letter about not spending that much money on 4 acres of sandy beach, even though there's nesting birds there, because so much of that money could have been spent towards a larger amount of land. But since it was spent, I just wanted to state that the information I gave about the terns was from 2024. There's probably fewer terns. As Dave Clausen said, 111 breeding nesting terns. So my data was from 2 years old. They're just getting fewer and fewer. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. And yeah, I believe we're here for a purpose. And my purpose here is to do the best I can. And I thank you for your service and appreciate your time. And I just wanted to correct my data. Lease terms 2,658 was from 2024, so there's probably fewer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? All right, seeing none. All right, Councilman Bagby, you had a motion or you want to discuss?
I'll defer to Mr. Destin. I think he's number one.
All right, Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have suggested to our friends on the commission that there's a real easy way to get out of this terrible dilemma that we are placed in because of their actions. And that's for them to simply make a motion, make an announcement that they have no intention to violate city's comp plan or land development code. And they look forward to working with us to have the park. So far, that's not happened. And I'm hoping that they will consider that, because if they take a pledge to not violate our land development code or our comp plan, well, then the controversy is mainly over. I don't understand why they haven't. I think 2 of our commission members would be happy to. I'm hoping they will take something up along those lines. But that's the crux of this matter. And in the tone of the letter to the Attorney General, which is what our problem is, was all wrong. What it should have been was, how do we work together to accomplish the goals? And I'm hoping that we will be able to modify that tone. But even I'm beginning to get a little disappointed and just, I'm afraid that it doesn't appear that we're moving very quickly toward the kind of compromise, the kind of result that we want out there. Something has to change on the other side. I keep hoping that it will. And as to Mr. Braden's desire to go ahead and institute legal steps, the problem is they don't have a lease and they have not submitted a plan. So at this point,
I'll just say to that, when the
address that.
time comes, we will discuss that.
yes, okay, so that's a little premature at the moment. And we certainly have that option when we find out that we're not going to be able to accomplish what we all want, which is to have a decent facility that is not overly commercialized.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Bagby.
Thank you, Mayor. And just in case there's any doubt, yes, I was the council member that requested that those 6 items be read into, because those are the restrictions that the county placed on us for the management of the larger portion of Noriega Point. And I am a firm believer in what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And they need to follow the same rules that they put on us in the management, in our management of our part, because ideally, these 2 parcels would be conjoined and complement each other, not one managed as a commercial entity and one managed as a bird sanctuary, which is what we've tried to do with limited access to it, but as a true park, a true place where people and nature can coexist. They haven't done that, and I'm very disappointed. And this will probably be the last meeting that I just say I'm really disappointed in our county commission, 3 of our county commissioners, 2 in particular. You can do better, and the citizens of this county deserve better. And I'm just going to ask you to do the right thing. You know, in their initial letter, they were afraid that they would get hamstrung if they had to follow our little city of 14,000's rules and regulations, and it would hold them up. You haven't seen anything like the holdup you're fixing to find, because the Attorney General, even if he does issue an opinion, is probably 3 to 6 months from now. And then once he issues an opinion and you try to go down, then, as long as you're requesting an Attorney General opinion, you probably won't get a management contract and you won't develop a plan. And it'll be a year from now when you're submitting your management plan and the state is looking to award you, if they do, the authority to manage that parcel. And then that's when the lawsuits will begin. And you're looking probably 3 to 5 years worth of lawsuits, because you'll have Holiday Isle Association suing you, you'll have the city of Destin suing you, you'll have individuals who live in the city suing you, and heck, you may even have me suing you individually if I can figure out a way to do it, because you can do better, and you should do better now. And you know which 3 commissioners I'm talking about.
Councilman Schmidt.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'll just echo some of the comments of the disappointment of trying to track us down on where we have failed so they can potentially take back the park. I think that alone is a very low blow for people who are supposed to be partners with us. Which I'm very happy that Lisa and the staff and the city and everybody for all these years does exactly what we're supposed to do there, which is great. Kim, in recent months, we've talked about pursuing our own lease. And I think we went to DEP, we did something. What are our options besides some of the comments that have been said here tonight, right? Didn't we do that? We told them we were interested? What did we do?
We did go to DEP and told them we were interested. I was specifically told by DEP, actually in writing, that the lease was going to the county unless the county and the city worked it out. That was what one individual told me. And so we started working with the county. We passed our resolution. We indicated we would match their $5 million. We wanted to lease the property and manage it, and that's how we got sort of drifted to now we're going to go meet with the state and see what the state thinks. If you recall, we went to a BCC meeting and multiple council members asked the county commission to support the city's request and that resolution, which I believe was number 2026-05. There were 2 county commissioners, which were Commissioner Ketchel and Cox, that were in full support of the city taking over, but the other 3 voted the other way and outvoted them.
So what can we do then right now? Can we officially now go back to the DEP contact that you spoke with? And now, again, tell them the actions that we have attempted to take and that we are officially wanting to apply for the lease of
We can certainly continue conversations with DEP.
What actions can we take besides sitting on our butt and waiting for the county to possibly come back and help us?
What we were trying to do was get the secretary of DEP was going to meet with Councilmember Destin and Commissioner Palmer, and canceled twice. And now they're in session, so I believe we were thinking after session they might try to meet. We can certainly go to DEP in the meantime, but I'll tell you, the person I spoke to was the deputy secretary, and the person that Commissioner Palmer and Councilmember Destin were going to meet with was his boss. So, but I'm happy to do whatever. The other, our legal options will increase when a decision gets made. Things are a little bit premature right now, but once a decision gets made, I can give you a host of legal options to consider, and believe me, I will.
Yeah, I guess I'm just always one of trying to take action and trying to do stuff versus sitting on our butts. Like, for many months, we were told, don't bring up the Publix parcel, don't bring up the Publix parcel, and the next thing you know, Publix bought it, and we didn't get a chance to. I'd like to at least make the motion to direct you and to go straight back to the DEP to tell them the actions that we have taken and that we, again, are requesting for the city to be the leasee of this property.
I would be happy to.
So I'll put that in motion form because I want to take action on doing something.
All right, thank you. I got to have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
For city attorney to go back to the DEP contact, just lay out the actions that we have taken to be working with the county in coordination to go to the state that have completely failed.
I'll second
That
it.
we are now trying to, again, respectfully ask them to make us the leasee of the property.
All right, I have
Yeah.
Councilwoman Aber with the second. Councilman Braden, and do you want to speak to this, or do you want to do the motion and come back to you guys? You guys were on the... All right, any further discussion on the motion on the floor? All right, seeing none, we'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, 7-0, so moved.
I appreciate it, and that's basically it. I don't think we should continue just to wait for some of the same people that are in relations and tied in one way or another with people that used to be property owners of this property who sold it for an substantial amount of money. I just think it's not right for us to just keep waiting and hoping these relationships are going to come out and help us, because they're not doing it. So we can't do it. It's ridiculous.
All right, with that, we did have two cleared before the thing set, so Councilman Braden, and then I believe Trammell? Okay, okay. All right, Councilman Braden, anything?
Thanks. Yeah, we've got a lot better shot of Iran agreeing 100% to all of Trump's demands in the next 24 hours than we do of those three commissioners doing the right thing. I mean, they're in too deep. They've took it so far, doing what they've done with. So, yeah, I'm like Kevin. We got to do something. We just can't sit here and just keep taking people's word for it, because we saw how they turned on us.
Councilwoman Aber, and then we'll jump back into the
Thank you,
cycle.
Mayor. And I was going to go down the same request as Councilman Schmidt. I wanted to, let's push forward, quit waiting to see what they're going to do, because every time we give them the benefit of the doubt, they've pretty much treated us as, the red-headed stepchildren they don't care about, they don't want to talk to, they don't want to work with. And I'm really glad that Kevin made the motion, and we can go ahead and see if we can't make things happen on our own. So, thank you.
All right. Councilman Morgan?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, in 2017, Okaloosa County, the TDC didn't give us like $25,000 for extra spring break protection for the sheriff's deputy. And as a result of that, Preble Ramswell made a motion to exploring leaving Okaloosa County. And that was over $25,000. And what ensued after that was, well, we dug into the TDC and the misuse of funds, and Mark Bellinger spending $700,000 on a yacht, and the convention center, a subsidized government building, losing $2 million a year. They were hosting these these events. They wasted $55,000 on a country music concert that nobody went to. There was, and pardon my, the term, but they were hosting midget mud wrestling there. And that was what it was advertised as, in a government building in probably the most conservative county in the state, which was just an extra level of government, an extra level of taxation. Since then, the TDC, I think, has done a really good job. And I haven't been up here for but I think Jennifer Adams has done a wonderful job. Alex Fogg does really good stuff. And I think they contributed to buying the city, helping us with beachfront property and deputy enforcement. And that was, as a result of that, something positive came, which was reform in the TDC, the branch of Okaloosa County. But I was really disappointed to see this happen. The public records requests indicate what on the surface might appear to be good faith. We're going to send Mr. Destin over to Tallahassee and have a meeting, and then the public records requests come out and they indicate anything but good faith. And yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed in Okaloosa County's stance towards this. Before I got on this council, people would come and ask me how the council feels about this park. And I didn't even have to talk to any of y'all to know that y'all were lockstep against it. Nobody in Destin wants to see that parcel commercialized. I think Okaloosa County is trying to see if they can circumvent our comp plan and our LDC so they can commercialize the park against the wishes of literally everybody that lives in Destin. Nobody wants to see Holiday Isle develop commercially. It's a neighborhood. It has enough traffic as it stands, just through general overdevelopment over the past 20, 30 years. But there's not very few Destin residents, a very small percentage want to see commercial activity out there. And to see Okaloosa County try to circumvent that through the public records request is insulting. So thanks.
Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, and Kim, I think you know this, but in your conversations with DEP, if you would ask the process, because I believe, DEP can't overturn the cabinet. So it doesn't, we can talk DEP all day, but until the cabinet changes its decision, I believe its decision is what its decision is. And so I would just ask them the exact process about going and getting on the cabinet's agenda to reconsider this motion.
I have asked that question more than once because they did tell me that it would have to go back to the cabinet. And that's when we decided to have, to ask the county to join us in that request. And that's how it drifted off. But we will drift back to where we were. I will reconvene those conversations and I'll report back to you at the next meeting.
And my only 2 cents to give a contrast, I was at the Okaloosa County League of Cities meeting this afternoon, and it was funny enough that Commissioner Mixon was there, and at the end they go around, hey, as cities, what do we need to know? Not necessarily for him, but for us. He's a non-voting member. And I couldn't help but notice Mayor Marks from Shalimar thanking the county for their interlocal agreement and this awesome bay parcel that they're getting and they're going to work together on. Couldn't help Mayor Hood thank the county for working together to get their boat launch going, another water access park. And I just politely looked around the room and said, is it only convenient to have home rule unless there's home cooking involved? Or when do we care about home rule versus helping our friends out? And didn't really get an answer, but individually, I believe even outside the city limits, the majority of elected officials and the mayors that I've spoken to across Okaloosa County agree that we're in the right, they are in the wrong. And so I'll be seeking their approval on a resolution at our next meeting to support us and support home rule and support local land ordinances and land zoning codes, hopefully adding one more layer of pressure that I doubt they care about because I guess their friends are more important than the locals.
Mayor, do you want me to prepare a resolution for you? And
Oh, that'd be great. So we can share it around to the different cities?
do we have a legislative sponsor?
I'll be glad to be that legislative sponsor.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and that's all I had to share. All right, Dr. Jones.
So, Mr. Morgan, just to expand on your comment about folks in Destin not wanting that, we surveyed the entirety of the county, and 90% said no, thank you. So it's more than the insignificant 14,000 people that live in Destin. It's the entire population of the county. And that was done by commission district to make sure that folks in Baker and Laurel Hill counted just like Mary Esther and Destin and Niceville. So.
Don't commissioners win or lose elections on less than 14,000 votes in Okaloosa County? I'm just asking.
Yeah, they do, but I mean, I would think so. They need challengers. But I would say that the deputy county administrator saying a small city of 14,000 people, well, that small city funds about 40% of the entire county. So I don't think our contribution to Okaloosa County's coffers are small within our city limits, but, you know.
All right. Everyone got everything off their chest? A good venting sesh. All right, I'll make sure to clip this together. We'll get some replays going.
All right, let's have some fun now. What do you say? Item 4C is regarding the underground utility update. If you recall, in November 4th of 2024, we issued a notice to proceed for Accurate Drilling Systems to begin the undergrounding of the utilities. That was a 560-day contract, which had a substantial completion date of May 18th of this year. We were at a meeting on May 13th of this year and informed that that date was not going to happen. In fact, that the 14th, we received a letter from ADS requesting a 115-day extension to that agreement. That was caused by some events earlier in late 2025, where FPNL had realized that there was some flaws in the design that had been bid out and that ADS had bid on and had given the city the contract price on that was agreed to. So at that point, they asked that JM Underground, who is a sister company to ADS, be allowed to join them to facilitate getting this work done in a more timely manner. Certainly, from the city perspective, we agreed to that in conjunction with ADS and FPNL. So since then, a number of things have happened. There was some material that needed to be in place in order to get this work completed. Some of that material came in. It was decided that it was the wrong size and had to be replaced. So a number of things that have happened, but at the end of the day, May 18th has come and gone, and the contractor is not substantially complete with the project. By contract, there are $1,500 a day liquidated damages that you can invoke for any delay on the project. From a staff standpoint, that's been our position. May 18th was substantial completion. You didn't deliver. The 115-day extension would be subject to those liquidated damages, except if the council wished to give some relief from it. So that's been our position. So tonight, Mark Porter and Stephanie Lindsay from our utility consultants of Florida are here, and Bernard Johnson from FPNL is here. So I know they have some comments to make, and I think Mark may have a couple of slides to show you to kind of give you a flavor of how we got where we are and what it involves.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having us here. I've just got a couple of slides just to tag onto that. So we've also got the contractor with us, and then, like he said, Bernard. So we're here to maybe answer any questions. What I wanted to do is kind of take an opportunity real quick and kind of differentiate where we are with the project. So I've just got 3 quick slides to share with you. Does this work or? Okay. So as you guys probably know, originally we had set up the project in 7 sections. The first one that we took on, phase 1, that we're currently working on, is by far probably the most challenging section that you're going to have. It has the most restrictive right-of-way, and the utilities are saturated in that corridor. As you move a little bit further to the east, you get in the residential sections, you'll see a lot of those issues and just kind of go through there a little quicker. But I just put some numbers down there, but just to kind of give you the magnitude of the project as a whole. It's also worth noting that at the, shortly after we initiated this contract and got the contract going with the NTP, if you guys recall, we had 2 additional carriers that came on late in the game and said, hey, by the way, we'd like to expand our infrastructure during this time. We went ahead and took that on, and at that time, we really didn't we kind of felt collectively as a team, we can get it to the finish line without coming to ask for time. And then, of course, through the course of a project, you have a lot of anomalies and things that you're chasing throughout there. So I think all considered, where we're landing is pretty, it's a very tight, confined time frame to begin with. So I feel like we've gotten to a good point to get that. With that being said, the original section, the part of the 560 days that we're talking about, segment 1, all the infrastructure for that is complete with the exception of some remaining feeder wire that still has to be pulled. So you have a 3-mile corridor. That was the original project from end to end, both sides of the road. As part of the feeder, and I'll talk to it in the next slide, is basically that express feeder is 1.5 miles. So you're basically about half the project to expand that. So that's kind of where we are. So in phase 1, all work's complete, you have that feeder wire that's still left. And then this is just basically giving you a summary of what was actually involved as far as footages and stuff like that. As far as the carriers, all their infrastructure is in. That's been complete for a while. They've already initiated. A lot of them have already pulled through their coax, their fiber. They're working through the switch order. So you'll start seeing businesses get notified of certain outages and things like that will be coming up. What that does is allows it to go ahead and most of the system, so there's cold and there's hot fiber. All the cold fiber's in spliced. You'll start seeing them switch over. That'll allow them to come in over the next couple of months, and you'll start seeing some of that stuff get wrecked out. So just wanted to kind of give you an update on that first segment. The express feeder, I don't know, how familiar you guys are with that. I know there's a couple of few phases, but basically FPL went in, and when we get closer to the switching, there's a differential of the load capacity where you have to basically have enough to, transfer the load when you're going through the switch, and you're going to make some of the sections hot. So basically, FPL realized that the design section is going to require additional conduit and feed to support that during the switching. So that's part of what you hear, the express feeder. That's basically what it was. So back in October, FPL approached us and said, hey, this is the need for the project. So like we did with the CARES, we just kind of, took that on. I think we got close with getting a lot of that work done by that May 18th. We do have about 85% of that conduit infrastructure in play, which is, I think we got the April 22nd so the permit was issued by the state April 22nd. So that's a pretty significant amount in a short amount of time, but basically we're about 85% done with that. To the city manager's point, we did get an order a few weeks ago that we were supposed to get some handholds. They were the wrong size. So we had to go back out and ask FPL to give us the smaller ones that'll fit within the corridor. So we're waiting on that. Hence, that's what that additional time is part of, is to allow for those materials to come in, get them placed, get us to the finish line. Part of the next slide is basically, I just wanted to kind of emphasize the, outside of the 560 days, we have what we call the switching. That's something that we never put a specific time or allocation to, and that's because that's dependent on several different factors, meaning that you have FPL, the co-op centers that basically issue switches to the contractor. That allows them to basically make the connections to the meters themselves, energize the lines. You do that in segments. It also requires, so your constituents, residents, businesses are all going to have to go in and basically allow us to come in the businesses and do that. So we'll work with restaurant owners, businesses, and say, hey, these are the windows. We've got the ticket from FPL. We're ready to switch you over. All that conduit then, though, from the transformers, all the infrastructure that's been placed to those meters is all set, the wires there. It's just basically the connections. So it's not anything that you'll see physically construction-wise outside of that express feeder. That'll just be making connections to those individual meters as the system gets hot. When all of that's said and done, they'll basically be able to come in at that part, and that's when you start seeing the wires and the poles coming out. So just kind of do what I maybe asked Larry we would like to do, just so that there's full transparency, we can keep you up to date through that process, is maybe either come here on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, every other month, and just give you an update as to that status. But there'll be a lot of variations in that. It'll be dependent on when a business will allow us to do those switches. It's not uncommon for us to do a lot of those through the middle of the night, so we work with the community to try to make those as simple as process. But the outages are usually very short, brief, and minimal, but nonetheless, they'll need to be made to get that final switch. So that's really what I wanted to share, but I thought more importantly, just see if, I'm sure you guys have some questions. We wanted to be here. So I'm here with Stephanie, the project manager. Bernard's here with FPL, and we got the contractor as well. So if we can answer any questions or talk through anything, we just wanted to be here tonight for that.
All right, well, thank you for the presentation. Thank you all for your time. We appreciate you being here. Councilman Braden? You on?
Yeah, I'll go first. Why are we just now finding this out? I mean, it seems like it's down to the 11th hour, and it's fixing to get into somebody's wallet, so we better go to screaming and looking for some help. So why are we just finding out about this now, and what have you done before coming to the city council?
So I personally apologize for the short notice. I think, like I said before, we had a couple of, different things like getting that carry work. So we always kind of, rather than coming each time and say, hey, we need additional time for this, we've collectively as a team kind of worked together to say, hey, we can get this thing. So we, from personally and from the project team, I can tell you that we've constantly tried to come here and avoid this, asking for any additional time, no change orders. So I'm saying for the level of complexity for this project, we've tried to do everything. We did think, so we had a couple of things that, same thing on the 11th hour that we came. So the war created some logistic issues. They were not immediately, but shortly after that. And then we got some of the deliveries from FPL. So all the materials come from FPL. As the contractor, they're just installing it. The materials come in from FPL. We get them, we install them. We had the material, so at that time, everything was looking like we're still we might be a little bit tight, but we still felt we could get to the finish line. As soon as we knew that the materials were not going to be here, we knew then we're going to have a problem. The only issue with that is we didn't know how much time we're going to need. We're still trying to get some of that information. So again, I apologize. I know it's unacceptable to do that. I hope you guys can accept that and understand that. But hopefully, through the project, we've tried to mitigate all the concerns and get it to the finish line without having to ask for time. And I think we thought we could get it there by that time. So unfortunately, we're just off getting it to the finish line.
How many rain days has your contractor claimed, and any other days off that they claim?
I don't have an exact amount, but that's a good question. So we do have rain days. We do have, there are certain things that I can give you. There's 100 reasons of why, but like I said, we didn't ever want to come for that time because we just didn't feel we would need it. I think if we hadn't had a couple of these issues of recent, we'd still be pretty close to hitting that. So, we like the carriers, we basically built over 7 miles of infrastructure for the carriers. It was never part of that 570 days. We didn't want to come ask for time because we kind of felt we could get it to the finish line, and we did. We actually finished the original part of the project was finished about 30 days before that 18th date. So we really finished the job with the exception of that feeder wire. The reason that the wire is not in is because if you put it in and you're still boring, you potentially could hit it. So then it has to be ripped out and replaced. So we just kind of held off on that. Hindsight, maybe we could have pulled it. That would have finished that original 570. So that's kind of what happened. We were logistically trying to figure out a way to get it to the finish line. And outside of those calendar days, so we've got the time for the carriers, the time, it's all tracked, but we were just trying to avoid asking for any time.
What I'm having a hard time swallowing is it's almost 4 months. Not 30 days, it's almost 4 months. And that's where we have 6 more to go, 6 more sections of undergrounding to go. And we're coming out with this now. I mean, what are we going to be dealing with or ask for, from here on? To me, it's just a huge ask, in my opinion, for that amount of time. Like I say, wish you'd come earlier for me, anyway, and say, look, not sure if we're going to make it or not, but we're trying, to get there. And I still got a sore spot for the way the whole contract agreement that we did a few years ago with Gulf Power, how that all played out. Still got a sore spot for that whole action. So I'm gonna quit there and pass it on. Thank you, Mayor.
Right, Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. So basically tonight, the question is whether we will give you the extension and not collect on the late fees. Is that where we're at?
I think we're at the, at the mercy of council, whatever you guys decide. I mean, the contract's the contract. I just wanted to let you, give you a little bit of background. FPL is here. They can, I don't want to speak to their specific work or the contract. I could just tell you from a project management side what we encountered and what we faced during the project, and the magnitude and the size of the project. But yeah, we feel like unfortunately we just didn't want to be here asking for any time or two. That's kind of our thing. I think the contractor agreed as well. We just don't like change orders. We don't like to ask for additional time. Hopefully that's merited by the course of the project. So you're right. I mean, we probably should have raised the flag sooner, so I take responsibility for that. I just felt collectively as a team we were still going to get it to the finish line in time, and we just kind of had a couple of unfortunate 3 or 4 weeks up until that point to realize that we're not going to make it. So let's bring it to the attention of the city.
My understanding is that damages could be $175,000 if we go another 100 days at $1,500.
I think it's approximately about 170-something thousand if you use the full 115.
Right. And
172.5.
175.
172.5.
All right, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I like working with you guys and trying to come out with a compromise that everybody can say, hey, we did better than I expected. I have personally, and I think the city's been trying to talk about getting some outlets on some poles so we could have Christmas decorations. Fort Walton seems to have accomplished that somehow, and I see no reason why we couldn't also. I'm not sure what it would cost to put some, and they don't have to be on every pole. That would be extravagantly expensive.
We don't have poles anymore after this.
We will have poles when you put them back, supposedly, right? Light poles with street lights on them. Believe it or not, those street lights are powered, and so there are powers to those poles already. And so how much does it cost? How much would it cost to put in some? How much does it cost per pole so that we could have some ability to have Christmas decorations on Harper Boulevard, which I think would be quite nice. So if you all can figure out how to make that happen at a reasonable price, I'd be willing to forgive on a 50 basis the fines that you might have to pay, and so we both come out winners. And I don't know if that's something you can figure out, but I don't see how difficult it would be, because it's not uncommon to have power outlets on the light poles, the poles that have street lights on them in most cities in the United States. So, personally, as one council person, I'd be willing to work with you guys to try to reduce that fine in exchange for some help on trying to get some power on those streetlights poles.
We are putting all brand-new poles out there, so I'm more than happy to go back to FPL Streetlight Department and say, hey, can we get that with the poles? So the poles haven't been delivered yet, but they're already in process. The infrastructure's built, so all the handholds are ready to be installed.
Right.
I can check with FPL. I don't know if Bernard, that's something Bernard can talk about.
And I've
It's probably-
spoken to Bernard about it, and he's just enthused to do it. I can just tell.
Probably different department, but nonetheless.
So the other question is, we're gonna have to give you an extension because you have to finish. The question is the money at the end. And so I think we have time to come up with a solution where we can both benefit. And that's where I'd like to see this go. But, we certainly can't stop you. But at the end of the process, however many days you went over it, $1,500 a day is what we're owed. And I'd like to work with you and FPL to come out with a solution where everybody comes out at least not quite so bruised up.
Okay. I can tell you this, between our team, city manager and everybody, we've been on the phone relentlessly with Bernard for probably the last 3 weeks to try to, come in here and kind of have a clear answer, even to where when we presented originally the 115 days, we've already gotten receipt of some materials. I think that we're expected within a few more weeks from now. Actually, they're coming in this week. So we're getting a little better movement already, so there's been some positive things. But I'm more than happy to go to the team and see if we can't get something and see what they're willing to do.
I love that you brought that up, because that was the first thing I thought of. They slapped a big number in front of me. I'm like, well, what about Christmas lights? So I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking we could use a little bit more holiday cheer on the harbor.
Right, it's not a bad idea.
I went even further. You were nice. I was like, man, well, they got the boring team. What about the medians? Can we just trade services instead of dollars? Is where I was headed. But with that, Councilwoman Hebert?
Thanks, Mayor. I'm in conjunction with what Dewey was saying, you know, giving you guys sort of like, not a break, but, you know, certainly not breaking the bank. But it is summer, and we were trying to get some of that major work that would be less chaotic for our tourists that are here. Just trying to keep things moving, but I'd be willing to work with y'all to make it to something that's not quite as painful, but yet we as a city benefit. And jokingly, I had told Bernard, yeah, I think Christmas lights would be a great idea. So I think, you know, we want to do more for our causeway, not just undergrounding, but in the holidays, make it beautiful. And I think if we could figure out a way to do that, we could help offset some of the costs, but also benefit from the end of it as well. And our residents would benefit. And that's kind of what we need is we want those that are suffering, the ones that live here day in and day out, the residents are the ones that are dealing with this. The tourists see it, but the deal, you know, it's impacting our residents. So
Perfect.
I'd be willing to work with you, like Dewey said.
Councilman Bagby.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I fall in between probably where Mr. Destin is and Councilman Braden is. You know, y'all knew in October you had a change and you were going to do something different. Anytime you do a change, it's going to take more time. You know, you had a duty, in my mind, in October to come to the city and say, hey, just so you're aware, we're going to put additional conduit in here. We're going to have to do some different wiring. We're going to have to do some different stuff. And that's probably going to impact, you know, the completion date. We're going to try to get it finished by the scheduled completion date, but just know that conditions have changed as part of this contract, and you didn't do that. So that's kind of where I am with Mr. Braden. Having said that, I think y'all have made an effort to try to do it. The Christmas lights are nice. I'm not sure, you know, it makes us feel good or whatever. We can do Easter lights, or we can do 4th of July lights, or drones hooked up to them, or recharge cars or whatever. My point is, at some point, y'all need to sit down with the city manager and you need to work something out. And we probably won't get $172,500 worth of value. You know, your cost, or FPL's cost, or whoever's cost will probably be $85,000, and then we'll all be happy and we'll say, yes, everybody got what they wanted, or everybody got something, and everybody got a win-win, and we'll go down the primrose path. But the question tonight is real simple. Are we going to impose liquidated damages and then direct the city manager to get with y'all to work out a solution to mitigate, attenuate, whatever word you want to use, those liquidated damages? So I'm going to make the motion. I'm going to recommend that the city council impose liquidated damages until the project is substantially completed, and withhold collection of those liquidated damages until until the city manager brings us back a plan for execution and final approval of those damages. But we have to impose them to give him the direction to negotiate on those. And so that's my motion.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Councilman Destin with the second. Oh, and I don't know who was up. Who was up? All right, Councilman Schmidt. You are now.
Mark, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. You know, y'all and ADS, I mean, I feel like y'all been class act since day one, since y'all first came. I think I was here when y'all first came. And I've always appreciated that, and y'all were always big on the no change orders, no delay, and that was a big thing. And I respect you taking personal ownership towards whatever slipped in October, November, December, whatever, right? You know, the fact that I think, we've had other utility providers causing lots of problems undergrounding things around our town over the past 6 to 12 months. I don't necessarily see here, there was fears about y'all closing down 98 all the time, and
I remember that.
traffic and blocking the road, and how are we going to pull into our restaurant, or how are we going to, you know what I mean? Like, and it has, in my opinion, in my eyes, people that I haven't heard from, been pretty seamless. I mean, it's amazing. So the job is great. And I appreciate that. You know, I think a lot of people do, and I know it's going to come back looking beautiful soon. And I think, you know, I think it's okay. I think what Mr. Bagby's saying right now, you know, you said you could potentially start coming, so maybe in the next 30 days, we would potentially have that answer, and it wouldn't be, you know, we could then update that decision, you know. So I appreciate it, I respect it. I do want to stand with what he's saying tonight, but I think we will still find a way to not have 115 days of $172,000 in fees.
Councilman Bagby.
Got two points that I wanted to make. Number one, the switching, you know, this is what we were trying to avoid, is switching during the 100 days of summer, so that, and some of the businesses are open late at night, early in the morning, whatever, so that we don't have to go, you know, somebody that closes at 10 or 11, yeah, you can work from 11 and get them switched over by 2 a.m., but not every business, particularly this time of year, is able to do that. And that's one of the reasons I'm disappointed, to say the least. And I know what you're saying, but I will tell you, this isn't the hardest segment, because for the most part, not entirely, most of the underground stuff, we knew about where it was between Destin water users, and y'all did a great job finding things. When you get in those neighborhoods, as Live Oak Fiber found out, and some of these other fiber companies have found out, there is not an as-built one in any of these neighborhoods. And when you start putting utilities underground, you're going to cut people's water, people's sewer, people's cable, people's fiber, and so, you know, be careful when you say, oh, this is the hardest segment. No, it's probably got the biggest pipes in it, but it's not going to be the hardest segment, trust me.
With all due respect, I think we're going to surprise you when we go through the neighborhoods. We do a lot of them, and I think that, I'm not saying that the carriers were negligent in any way. I just think that we, you know, we don't rely on the as-built or the actual locates, because we know that they're mostly not accurate. So I think the contractor's done a good job of actually physically tapping them, locating them, taking the responsibility above and beyond, and that's why you've seen a lot of delays, or not delays, but minimal impacts of any. I mean, for that corridor, I mean, there's a ton of water services and laterals. To avoided that, I just, you know, the magnitude of it's pretty significant. But I hope you come back in a couple of years and say, you surprised me. I think we'll go through the neighborhoods. It'll be pleasantly surprised that you won't see a lot of damages. And then I just want to make sure before I end the switching process, is there anything that we can do to kind of, I know that that's probably one of the hardest things for municipalities, city agencies, understanding the switching process. There's no way of putting a time to that. It's FPL, the ops center, storms. There's so many variables, business owners. They'll dictate us moving forward as to when, but what I can promise you is that we'll go through that expeditiously. We'll work with them closely, and you won't hear, we don't expect to have residents or businesses coming in here saying that they were missed or that they didn't know. I think we're gonna, you know, I can assure you that we're gonna go above and beyond to make sure that that's a seamless process as it can be. But I'm personally, or Stephanie, we can come here on a monthly, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, or even just a report to the city manager, letting you know where we are in the progress, which is just so you know what's going on. So if your constituents come, or businesses or residents, you'll have an idea of what they may expect. But we want to be as transparent as possible during that period, because we know it's a period that's kind of a lot of uncertainty. So,
All right, thank you for that. Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I am saying the other utility providers were negligent based on last summer. But the work y'all have done on 98 has been, you've been working with really tight right-of-ways, and it's been impressive to watch, and with minimal disruptions to those businesses, unlike mine on Holiday Isle last summer. But yeah, I support Mr. Bagby's motion and working with you guys.
I want to take the credit. The contractors, they're the ones responsible. We're just managing it, but it's been a collective effort. But they have done a phenomenal job on our side.
I'm just glad Councilman Bagby said we're going to do a residential neighborhood next. Is that what you said? That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I know. I'm glad I wasn't the only one hearing that. All right. All right, without getting too far derailed, I will get back on the motion. All right, we got the motion and second on the floor. We'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, 7-0, so moved. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Bossman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 4D is just an update on the property tax reform and all that's going on there. As you know, the special session started today, that the Senate began their deliberation over their proposals at 3 o'clock this afternoon Eastern Time, and the House at 4. They have made some changes and been some amendments. Certainly won't try to cover all of those tonight because there's a lot of moving parts. We expect maybe tomorrow that they will pass it all out, but it looks like that something's going to leave both houses to potentially end up on the ballot. However, it does have to go to the Supreme Court for them to verify the language and make sure all of the moving parts are done. Interestingly, I just got a message a moment ago that the president has appointed Speaker Daniel Perez as the ambassador to Brazil. So he is one of our advocates that was looking out for us, and he has been taken out. Whether that was strategically or not, I don't know, but interesting. So what we provided to you late last week was the information we had at that time. We have done a little more calculation, and we think the impacts will be probably about half of what was presented from the property appraiser last week. So while it's still painful, it may not be quite as bad as what those numbers were shown to you in his workup. So we're probably looking at over a 2-year period, probably $1 million, as opposed to $1 million in the first year. So really no action needed. I mean, we certainly, if you want to send some message to the legislators, we could fire it off to them in the morning. Whether it be timely or not, I don't know. But I think probably most of those eggs are scrambled, and we're going to see what they come out like.
So all I took is if you get in someone's way, you get promoted? Okay, good to know. Art of politics. Councilman Destin?
Yeah, I know that our mayor sent a letter of support for the position that all of us folks who will be cut dramatically on our revenues, and I just want to make a motion that we support and approve that letter so that we put the approval of the council behind the letter, which is probably a good thing to do.
Yes, thank you for that. Is that a motion?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Got a second. Yeah, and I'll just add just a quick 2 seconds on there. Yeah, I appreciate. They reached out to me Friday, I believe, and it was last minute, and so I told them, well, I have a council meeting Monday. I'll put it on the agenda. Sorry, it was Thursday night. Monday morning, they're like, we can't wait. We all are able to authorize it, so I appreciate everyone being okay with me kind of taking that liberty, understanding that it's well within our scope and our values, and I appreciate us going back to do the housekeeping. So with that, I have the motion and second. Any further discussion? All right, with that, we'll call the vote. All right, it's so moved. It's all about the processes.
Well, no,
You don't have to
we're
explain
going to
yourself.
lose around 3%, and it'll probably be less this year in our ad valorem tax. And so I understand how Crestview, it's going to be a huge hit. Not as much because our property demographics are a lot different than anybody else in this county.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 22% homestead, but 51% are under $250,000 in homestead assessed value.
Right.
Yeah, which means we got some old timers, been around the block a few times.
And the house hasn't been upgraded.
No, in a good way. No, they have the homes. No, that's, hey, it's a. I appreciate it. Hey, mine's right at 300. I got in right at the bubble. All right.
4E are minutes for standing boards and committees for information. A couple of announcements. Parking at Noriega Point. The last, particularly over the, I'm
sorry. Councilwoman Trammell, I'm so sorry.
Minutes of the standing boards and committees. The Public Works and Safety Committee does roads very well. I would like to make a motion in light of what we heard tonight and what we have heard in the past meetings, that Public Works and Safety also, as they're making their rounds of the roads, make their rounds of the sidewalks and report those to our Public Works Committee.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. For clarification, what is the best way to report? Michael, I want to like bombard you with emails. I got a run club that I could sick on you real quick. We do a couple miles a week.
A couple different ways. City Help Desk is always a good avenue. And if you want to contact our office directly, feel free to, 850-837-6869.
Help desk it is.
Or you can email me directly as well.
No. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, Michael, doesn't the Public Works, Public Safety Committee still have they're broken out in 7 little different things, and they drive their neighborhoods or their assigned areas, sidewalks, roads, and streetlights, and turn in a report? I mean, that's what we used to do, but I know it's been quite a few years since I was on Public Works, Public Safety.
You are correct, and we actually talked about that internally this morning, kind of revisiting that.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Is that true? Who was the second? Councilman Destin. All right, thank you for that. All right, seeing no further discussions, we'll call the vote. All right, Dr. Jones, sorry to cut you off.
Thanks, sir. Noriega Point and parking. Memorial Day weekend was a interesting situation for parking there, the new parking lot, and this weekend was not a lot better. So we kind of wanted to see what a non-holiday weekend looked like, and there were still a lot of conflicts, a lot of folks that probably weren't on their best behavior. Our parking enforcement officer actually called for some help, that it was probably more than, first of all, he had to go to some other areas as well, but I think we had some code and even had to call the sheriff's office out. But I talked to Captain Fulgham, and there's the ability for us to bring on part-time deputies on these weekends. It's reasonable. It's cost us about $350 a day to get 8 hours of coverage. And Ms. Kopp and I have looked at the resolution, and we certainly feel that that's within the what's allowed in the language of the resolution to spend those funds. So I would recommend that we man that at least either all day Friday or Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday through the season, and let's get a handle on it before it gets out of hand. I think we can do that without a motion, unless there's any objection.
I'll
from
make that
council.
motion
Okay.
that we
We'll take
hire
the
them.
motion then.
All right, and Councilman Destin, anything further? Thank you, sir. All right. With that, seeing no further.
Crystal, I know we can't make decisions at the budget hearing, but can you tell us where all that money's going to come from? Is she still here? No, at the budget hearing. I don't
Right,
want to put you
okay.
on the spot.
Yep.
I didn't ask that question in my
I-
pre-brief.
Normally, it would come out of the parking fees.
All right, I got a motion by Councilwoman Aber, seconded by Destin. Seeing no further discussions, we'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Thank you.
Just a reminder that we have our first budget workshop next Monday at 5:30 here. And if any of you wish to have a briefing, we'll be more than happy to sit down with you and go over what we'll be presenting. If you want a time if you want your standard briefing time for council meetings, we can honor that. If you want a different time, just let us know. But if you would, I'll get Sherry to reach out tomorrow, and if you want to have it, just let her know and we'll get it scheduled.
Thank you, sir.
And that's all I have, public hearings.
Dr. T?
Dr. T, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Good evening. I have 3 announcements. Crystal Strickland was voted in as the board president for the Panhandle chapter of the Florida Government Finance Officers Association, which covers the territory from Escambia County to Gulf County. So congratulations to our Director of Finance. Our annual Independence Day Bike Parade will be at the Destin Elementary Track Wednesday, July 1st at 4 p.m. There'll be food trucks and live music, and then the parade will kick off at 6 p.m. And lastly, we have entered hurricane season, and we have our annual hurricane guide uploaded onto our website for people to access. And then next week, we'll have hard copies available in City Hall, Community Center, Annex, and Public Works for any residents or visitors that want to swing by and pick those up. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. All right, Ms. Kopp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 2606LC, an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, renumbering the existing Article 11 of the Land Development Code as Article 7, changing the name of existing Article 11, Coastal Management and Conservation, to Article 7, Resource Conservation, Protection, Resiliency, and Sustainability, adding the following existing sections of the Land Development Code to Article 7, Resource Conservation, Protection, Resiliency, and Sustainability, Section 70500, Protection and Preservation of Archaeological and Historic Resources, Section 71704, Outdoor Lighting Standards for the Marine Turtle Conservation Zone, and Section 72000, Small-Scale Alternative Energy Generation Regulations, providing for authority, providing for findings of fact, providing for incorporation into the Land Development Code, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Council, this is second reading of the ordinance. There are no changes since first reading, other than did we add Sandy's language, Tina?
Yes, and the other change that was made is that the ordinance was rewritten to reflect that the MPEB fee is to be assessed using the current process that's in effect now, the 25% of the construction cost valuation.
That's why I said no change, because that's what's in the current code. But you're right, it is a change from the actual other draft of the ordinance.
All right, thank you for that. Seeing this is a public hearing, if you wish to speak on this topic, this is your time for public input. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Destin, seconded by Councilwoman Hebert.
Move to adopt.
And with that, I will call.
Yeah, move to adopt.
All right. We'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, 7-0, so moved. Cool. All right, is that everything you got?
On council member reports.
Awesome. All right, Councilmember Braden, Councilmember Braden.
I'm good, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Trammell.
Oh, tonight?
Yes. Tonight, right?
I just wanted to say that I really liked what we did tonight when we actually had citizen input right before the item we were to discuss. Because by the time they get up here, I mean, I've been on both sides of this, you don't really know what's going to be said. You don't really know how council is looking at it or leaning toward it or whatever to be able to make your comments appropriate. I personally would like to see us change and do that from now on.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion to that effect, or can
Yes.
you, the mayor who controls the agenda, do
So,
that?
and I have gone back and watched, because we've moved around the order of the agenda a lot, but that would be more of a policy of how we conduct the meetings, and then it would be set for out, and then we would amend it as it became options.
I would make a motion if
But,
you want to go that
Yeah,
route.
to your point.
All right, I'll make a motion to that point.
And I'll second it.
All right, any discussions?
That's to bring back the updated
Policy.
policy based upon her recommendation.
We have a resolution that
Resolution,
contains
right.
meeting procedures, that contains those policies. So we would bring it back, and we would modify it to say there would be public input at each item.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yep.
Can we add that we all can speak twice on any topic and that's it? Not 4 or 5 times? So we're not here till
I try to do
9
the
o'clock
2
at
bites
night
at
on
the
this
apple
agenda
thing.
Your
that's
rules of
really no
governance are
agenda?
under your control, so
Yeah.
yes, you could.
Yeah. I'll try to keep us locked in a little bit more. Councilman Destin.
Just so I'm clear on what we're trying to do, we're going to change from having the public comment at the beginning to having it on every item. Is that correct?
Because I was going to ask for a little bit of clarification on how we balance that.
The way I look at it is, if the item is on the agenda, not the consent agenda, but the regular agenda, then have the people speak at that time. Anything else they want to bring up, they can bring up anything else they want to bring up. But if it's an item, like we did tonight, the fireworks, we brought people up. The acquisition in Noriega Point, we brought people up. The utilities, we brought people up. So if there's anybody that wants to speak on that, they can wait until that time to speak, simply like we do with our ordinances.
Okay, just for clarification, so we're going to get rid of the public comment at the beginning and have it at each item?
I think we need both. Because no, the reason I'm saying that is public comment may not address any one of the items on our agenda.
I understand all,
It would be public input at the beginning if you want to speak to something not on the agenda, or public input at the item when it comes up.
Yeah, so I then would be describing it as anything on the agenda, you'd wait for that item. If
Okay,
this is
but-
a,
with the
What we
caveat.
do for quasi-judicial land use development
Right,
applications.
right, with the caveat, though, that the first period that we have is to make comments on things that are not on the agenda, correct? Otherwise, we're doubling our
Right, that's
time
what-
that we're going to sit here.
That's right. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Good.
okie dokie, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's required by statute that we allow them to speak in the public comment period in the beginning. And I agree with Mr. Destin, the wording needs to be very clear that you can't prevent them from speaking on an agenda item at the beginning, but what you can tell them is if you speak on that agenda item at the beginning, you don't get another bite of the pie when the agenda item comes up.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's almost a public hearing without the legals that's bound on us. We're putting it on ourselves. Councilman Schmidt? Yeah, we'll have Alan make his own podcast up here next thing we know. Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, I would think, I mean, we're going to obviously have it brought to us. I think we need to think about this a little more, a little bit more clarity. I believe Mr. Osborne has said in the past that he wants to hear us speak and then have a public comment, so he knows what we're thinking. What you're proposing, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really change anything. They're speaking before us. They could speak at the beginning of the meeting too. I think what's going to happen is the number of public comments are going to increase now because the next person is going to want to say something that wasn't already going to say something at the beginning of the meeting. And I think it's going to have a negative impact on the length of the meeting. If people want to speak on an agenda item, they have the beginning of the meeting to speak on it. If we want to modify to allow people after us for some reason, then we have to do a better job of preparing a motion, getting a second for discussion, and having a discussion, which we have a lot of flexibility up here 98% of the time, unless somebody doesn't want to hear somebody say something, then they want to pull the Robert's Rules of Orders rules. But I would just, I think we just need to think about this a little bit more before that. I couldn't support having a public comment before every single agenda item. It just seems worthless, or too repetitive.
All right. Honorable Morgan.
Thank you. I encourage public input. These meetings aren't generally well attended. So anything to encourage better attendance is good. But we had this discussion when Gary Jarvis ran for mayor based on, part of his campaign pledge was shorter meetings, which he didn't achieve. But that's not his fault. And I love Gary. I think he was a good mayor. But we were in the middle of discussing it, and I didn't say anything. And about 30 minutes into this discussion, I got the microphone and I said, I think one of the reasons our meetings take so long is the fact that we can talk for 30 minutes about why they take so long. So I'll leave you with that.
Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, just to address Kevin's point, a technique, I'm not saying this is what we have to adopt, but is there has to be a motion and a second, and then it's open for public comment. It's not, we don't talk and then they get to hear. They get to talk and we get to go, oh, I didn't think about that, or that's a good point. But there has to, if there's not a motion and there's not a second, there's no public input because there is no decision being made by the council, and that is normally in accordance with Robert's rules. So if we're just giving direction or whatever, there is no input. But if we make a motion, we make a second, then you can open, just like a public hearing, except we're making the motion in the second.
All right, good deal. With that, Councilwoman Trammell with the motion. Councilman Destin, were you the second?
I second.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I saw your eyes. All right, Councilwoman Abear is going to dig our grave, and with that, no more discussion. We'll call the vote.
No couch in those terms.
All right, 6-1, so moved. Anything else? Who was up for that? Okay, thank you. Councilman Destin? All right, Councilman Bagby.
I look forward to a robust discussion on the proposed budget next Monday night. Thank you.
Do I need to buy a new belt because we're out of straps and now we got to or we got a hole
At the
punch?
first public hearing, you want to have a robust discussion? All right. I like that. That's a change.
I've already punched a hole through my belt. We're going to punch another hole through my belt because we got to tighten it even more. Is that what you're saying? All right, Councilwoman Abear.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
All right, Councilman Chatham Morgan.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilman Schmidt.
Yes, sir, I do have something. I wanted to follow up on the Crab Island takeover situation that occurred. I did see.
The one this year or the one 3 years ago?
Well, the one this past weekend when there was a lot of potential drownings, a lot of people saving people and that weren't law enforcement that were saving people. But I just was curious with the announcement that happened, did we take any action this past weekend with authority from any agencies this past weekend? Was there anything taken to help stop that?
To help stop the drownings?
Help stop the promotion of the Crab Island takeover that took place
Yeah, we do
this
the
weekend.
same thing each year that we get, every time one of the Crab Island promotion or takeover gets posted, we have the National Park Service and us reach out to the promoter, let them know that they have to have a permit, otherwise it's not a legal event. They have to have a permit through the National Park Service, and then the National Park Service follows up. If they can prove that the coordinator violated their park policies, they'll fine them.
Do you know if that took place for this past weekend?
I know they reached out to them. I don't know what they're doing with the follow-up.
Okay.
I know the National Park Service was out there this weekend. They were on some of our vessels, and they were making contact, trying to determine if the promoters were actually there.
And then now for the next one that's promoting for Father's Day weekend, are we taking actions already for
We do
that?
the same. We've done the same thing for the takeovers that we've been doing all along. We reach out to the promoters. We tell them that everyone's welcome to come. However, our expectations are for them to abide by our laws and our ordinances. And then the National Park Service reaches out to them, tells them that they have to be permitted in order to organize an event on Crab Island or anywhere inside the national park. And if they violate that, the National Park Service follows up with fining them. What you run into is what's organizing an event. So if you put out a flyer to people that you are Facebook friends with, and you say, hey, I'm going to be out on Crab Island this weekend, come join me. That's not a violation of park rules. If you put out a flyer saying, hey, give me $5 and I'll tell you where to meet me on Crab Island, I'm paying for a DJ, and we're charging for this, that, and the other, then that is a violation of park rules, and they'll follow up with fining them if they can prove that's what's taking place.
So if the advertisement and the image did not specify paying anybody, does that mean that y'all are not taking that as a serious action, that they're taking over Crab Island and going to potentially destroy and
No,
cause
you
harm?
asked me what they were doing about the promoters on there. We go out there and enforce every weekend. Understand, this weekend, there was one fight on Crab Island. Every one of the videos that I've seen online, that my guys have seen online, were previous years, other than the one video that you saw where our boat pulled up next to the pontoon boat that had the ladies fighting on it.
Yeah.
That was the one fight that took place.
Yeah, I'm not speaking really about the videos. I just spoke to business owners and operators that were out there.
Mhm.
I think there's even one here that made a post. I believe he's in the back. it was not a good situation out there. And from my understanding, it didn't seem like there was very more law enforcement than normal. Maybe that's just because the holiday's over. I don't know. But as long as they're taking action to try to reach out, that's good.
We put additional people out on Crab Island when we have the takeovers.
Okay.
You know, depending on what we get from the booking folks,
Sure.
from the pontoon rental companies, when they tell us how many people have booked, has a large impact on how many people we put out there.
Right.
But understand, a lot of the activities that people keep posting about, that people mention,
Previous
are
years.
not illegal activities.
Right. I just feel like if the actions that were taking place were happening on a parking lot on land, there would be a swarm of sheriff's deputies' cars breaking up that type of action, whether it be on a park property, whether it's state, county, or federal, or whether it be on a private property, because then I imagine the private property owners would be calling. But I just feel like there's a different approach. So maybe
I'm confused. I'm confused
Sure.
about what you're asking, because if you're saying that you feel like there would be a swarm of deputies showing up to people who are in a park or in a land-based place not breaking the law, that's not going to happen. If someone's breaking the law on shore, we're going to send the appropriate number of deputies to handle the situation.
Right. The investigation of breaking
If
the
you
law,
have
I think,
somebody,
is the
if you
question.
have somebody breaking the law on Crab Island, we're going to
Sure.
send the appropriate number of law enforcement officers to deal with it.
That's fine. I just, for the record, the city of Destin does not have any jurisdiction over the Crab Island, right?
That's correct.
So unfortunately, there's a lot of bad press that gets out there that the city of Destin needs to do something. So we can't do anything for Crab Island, from my understanding.
That's correct.
For what it's worth, in 2025, when I asked for some figures, both the Okaloosa County, our friends in the Okaloosa County, they collect approximately between $400 to $1,200 per month per vessel, commercial vessel, depending on what they're doing, right? The figures back a couple years ago were estimated about $4.5 million of gross receipts are brought in. They also figured that that's probably 50% underreported, right? In 2019, Okaloosa County collected $52,000 in money. 2020, $52,000. 2021, $104,000. 2022, $205,000. 2023, $262,000. In 2024, it was approximately $262,000. That's the county. The national parks, which I think it's a national park in Crab Island, I think, they collect 3% from these same vendors. Pretty much, same vendors, right? So let's assume $4.5 million is accurate. We're talking $135,000. So between the county and the federal government, there's nearly $500,000 being collected out there. I don't know what the last year's numbers were because I haven't asked for them yet. From my understanding over the years, the only thing that I have seen or heard of that was done was to put buoys by the Coast Guard, I think, to do a safe channel through Crab Island. Then they decided to take those out because it was too costly to maintain. So when the city of Destin cannot do anything, maybe we can figure out how to put a fee out there too. If everybody else is going to collect $500,000 and not do anything, maybe we could just put a fee out there. Would be one thought, but I don't want to do that, obviously. It's a joke. I just feel like we might need to look at supporting our business owners that I hear from in the city of Destin. They're business owners. There's obviously ones in Fort Walton and Niceville and Santa Rosa Beach as well that struggle with certain things, and one being, where's the safety and where's the additional support out here at Crab Island if we're paying nearly all this money out there? So I get it's a potential controversial thing, but business owners and operators said specifically how bad it was this weekend and the lack of federal or county or whatever support that was out there. And I just hope I hope we can take that into consideration to make sure we're taking that extra step or effort to work with those business owners, even more so than we might already be, to just continue to try to promote what Crab Island hopefully is and what the city of Destin is and a family-oriented place.
I think I
hope
more
we can
understand
do
what you're asking about. You're asking about manpower that we had on Crab Island this Saturday. We had 3 vessels fully staffed from the sheriff's office. We had 2 vessels that were staffed by the FWC, and then there was Coast Guard assets and there was National Park Service assets, all on Crab Island for the takeover event. And that's how many folks that we had out there for that event, which if you want to contrast that to other areas, I mean, you know what you have in the contract for the city. We actually had more disturbances take place on land than what we had on Crab Island. And I'm not saying what's taking place on Crab Island that I agree with at all, but we're there to enforce we're there to address criminal activity. And a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about are not criminal. It's not criminal, so we can't do anything about
No, I
it.
understand. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the discussion. I also just wanted to make sure that people, both here or online, also got the facts about the numbers and the fees and the money that's being collected by the county and by the national parks. So I don't think some people even really understand that sometimes, because it was specifically stated that that money goes straight to the general fund. And there's no line items allocated towards what they're going to do with that money. You know, and I think that people need to understand that. Another little quick trick from the county there. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Yep, good point. I have nothing as well. Ms. Kopp?
Real quick update on 222 Cybert, Mr. Gregory Marler's property. We had a motion for summary judgment hearing in the foreclosure case on Friday, the 22nd, and did prevail, so that will be set for sale. Mr. Marler does not want to lose his non-homestead property, so he indicated that he's going to clean it up. We'll see if that happens. I did agree to a pushed back sale date for a couple of months to give him one more time. At that point, I mean, the sale's going to be set. Council will be the only entity that can cancel it or not. And right now, I haven't seen it come into compliance as of today. So we'll keep an eye on it and keep you posted. Also, Monday, Kyle will cover the budget workshop for me because my daughters are turning 17. I am taking them to New York. Got to go see the World Trade Center every couple of years, and then we'll be back.
Awesome. All right. With that, public comments. You might as well. Surely you don't have a home life if you're here with us.
Okay, this Crab Island thing, y'all take it serious, because what people saw this weekend, a lot of them people ain't bringing their families back here. You think they are, they're not. And I don't care what the captain says, all due respect, overwhelmed. Law enforcement was overwhelmed. Just during the funeral, I took pictures of 4 or 5 crimes going on, jello shots, pontoon motor trimmed half out, shooting water on somebody else, twerking with a G-string. Nobody wants stereos that were too loud. Eric Aiden's video was nothing more than a mall cop thing saying, stop, or we'll yell stop again. There's nothing going on with that. It's got no teeth. You put some constables out there and start arresting people, get jurisdiction over the harbor. You can't control what you don't own, but you get jurisdiction on the harbor, you can absolutely seize control of it and enforce standards. The other thing is, Dewey, I need to get on your mailing list. So when you have those, when you're going to have those Alan Osborne fan club meetings and have a guest speaker like Rick Scott, I need to attend or they won't know what's going on. So I don't want them to miss my presence, so please keep me in on that, all right? I need to get distribution on that. So, you know, that's an issue. And the last issue is this. Y'all have argued to death the damn fireworks. But what's really important is this is 250. Who is Destin's honorary representative of the 250th anniversary? Who is it? And here's my point. 250, well, you know, Crestview, And that's my point. Crestview and maybe Fort Walton has decided to pick 500 pounds of chewed bubble gum and political feces as the representative for that. And I'm sure that somewhere in the city of Destin, because 250 years ago, somebody was at Valley Forge and that person was probably in the Army, most likely. Somebody in Destin that's either living or posthumously should be the honorary representative for Destin. I bet we've got a Silver Star winner. We've got retired special forces here. We might have we've had several Medal of Honors beside Bud of people that were very quiet. This is a 250th anniversary about seizing freedom, and I'm sure that we should have somebody as our representative of the 250 years that embodies all the things that America is. I feel like we should hurry up and find somebody either alive or somebody who is from Destin and might have been on Iwo Jima. I don't know where they were. But surely we have somebody that represents what we're proud of at 250 years. Think about it besides the fireworks. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You might be a great.
Danny Davis, 619 Calhoun Avenue, Destin, Florida. I've known Mr. Captain Fulgham for probably 35 years. Yeah. Okay. I was on Crab Island on Saturday all day. I think I'd address the illegal activity aspect first and still be respectful. Marijuana, as far as I know, in federal government is illegal. And last I know, I think the national park is federally controlled. I don't know if anybody else was out there this weekend, but I'm pretty sure
Every
you could have
gust.
stood at the end of the pass and smelled more marijuana than anywhere in the whole county. So some of that needs to be addressed. I personally did not see the National Park Service out there, and if they were out there, were they there to ticket vendors for whatever, or because obviously they didn't pick up all the dope smoking that was going on. I have plenty of videos. If any of y'all would like me to send y'all this documentation, I'll be happy to. I'm hoping that in some way, we're talking about getting more deputies to be out on parking lots and things like that, that maybe we get down on the harbor with some canines, start controlling some of this input on these. From what I understand is they knew that this takeover was here a week ago. But I didn't see any extra deputies out there. I see the same ones. Saturday, a young lady come to our vessel needing a ride to Fort Walton because she was left. I was on Channel 16 with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department for an hour in their smallest boat to come pick her up. You know what their excuse was to me? It's too shallow. The same boat I've watched for years cross the island, right? Too shallow because they had a film crew on their boat. So I'm hoping y'all reach out to the sheriff and say, hey, you know what, we got some real problems. Because that lip service he gave today, obviously you can go to social media and see nobody buys it. The next thing, 30 seconds, what are we doing with navigational aids? It's great to stand on a hill and fight about this Norhiga Point part, and I'm glad you do it. But the luckiest fishing village, and we got the worst navigational aids in the whole state, why ain't we beating on that horse? So that's my concern, Joel. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Anyone else?
Just one quick comment. I asked for an update. I don't think it's unreasonable without Joe Fitzpatrick, 3879. I don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, I've been here, like I said, 9th council meeting. We're 4 weeks into a study. You know, I think, you know, as a business owner, having run businesses, I think transparency is important. You know, fought for a study, worked with the adjacent parcel owner to get the study agreement, the easement agreement, delivered it 4 weeks ago. I work at home from my office. My office window looks directly out on the property. I haven't seen anybody, come out on the property. So it makes me wonder what the purpose of the easement's for, from study. So I just, look forward, looking to work through here. I've had 2 additional prospective buyers since the last council meeting, looking at the property. This is a question, that's an issue that needs to be resolved, and looking for council to just take this serious, as you have 4 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
We have a status report. We have a status report on the study.
I know we've talked to engineer this morning, and it's in progress. I think by the next meeting, we should have something substantial to present.
Yes, sir. We should have something by next meeting. And no, we have not officially been out there to the site yet. My surveyor has been on vacation for the past couple weeks, so we have not had the opportunity to come out there.
So you will have something at the next meeting? You'll have something for us at the next meeting?
It won't be a final report, but we will have something by the next meeting.
Well, at that time, we'll set a schedule for a final report, hopefully.
Right, anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the meeting.